So where's Greg?
No idea, Dan.
Where's Buford?
Buford's right there, Dan.
He's behind you.
Oh, all right, I'm doing that. Yeah, you're going to be the camera guy. It's all right.
Well, what's Greg's supposed to do?
Huh?
What's Greg supposed to do?
He said he should be the camera guy. Greg was your second in command.
I'm confused.
Thank you. Just put your finger at the top of the page.
Can I squeeze it next to you? Hi,
No,
this is
actually,
just
you
the
can't.
hosts are going to be here, so we're going to take care of things. But you can
Otherwise,
come
you
right
could. But not tonight. Next night, next week.
here.
Here.
Yes, that's first. There's you may examine.
You can touch it. Don't look at
Couple blocks for me.
Now,
Chestnut
ruffle the
mason.
pages and
I
snow.
have a chestnut mason.
Riffle the pages and snow.
Don't blow it.
Be aware. Sometimes those are relevant.
Is it a good school?
it. Means you got him out of the toilet.
It's not, you know, it's not a really good experience. For the most part, it's, Nathan here?
Are they, I take kids that
No,
live in the
not
area?
yet. You'll be reading it.
Yeah. So, is that, are there a lot of Chinese in that?
Or Greg.
We have
Supposedly all Chinese and Italian.
I don't know.
So the Italian is kind of simmered out.
Pretty much there.
There.
So you'll probably have to tell people 4 minutes-ish because it's going to get crowded. You'll have to tell people about 4 minutes to 5 minutes and you'll get caught. Oh, Cotton Gin Tart! Ah, for God's sake. Thank you. All right.
I'm gonna get,
Are you?
I'm gonna get, D for this.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna get him for this.
Okay. You do this one as the sign in.
They're getting restless.
You're getting in line. Okay.
Get
So
the.
you're gonna leave it. Yeah. Are you leaving at the intermission?
Yeah.
They're getting restless.
Morning, Zan Google. I have a
The natives are restless.
No, the white people here are getting restless. They ain't the natives.
All right. So, I'm gonna take my stuff and go over here. You're gonna be.
I know, it makes me sick. I'm gonna get D. Allen. I don't know what I'm gonna
Well, I don't want to come before you.
How are you? Okay. How the hell are you? Jesus Christ in a handbasket.
Oh, for God. Oh.
Jesus fucking Christ.
On a popsicle stick. My friend used to say, I never understood it. Jesus Christ.
That doesn't work.
They're crossed unfortunately well.
Christ on a crutch.
A woman asked me to save
Oh, okay. Well, all right.
What?
A woman asked me to save this spot. We are now occupied.
Oh, well, I will probably move in due course.
All right. I built this to be
Sure,
untrue
it'll
to
move
the
into
charge that
various other places of the room in due course. It's like.
Oh, look at that line. That's pretty exciting. Oh, I think we need
Makes
pictures.
sense.
I feel like I'm here.
everybody's standing.
Hallelujah, you're a bum.
Oh, yeah. I made some.
People know that song.
I don't know that song. I'm gonna get you for this.
Oh, I understand.
Because I gotta do the whole damn program.
If you don't know what you're doing, you know what it's
Right now,
I have no idea. We can't, Greg I thought was supposed to be here, but that's okay. I don't know.
What's going to happen at the 3-minute mark? Are you going to get nervous?
I'm gonna start playing with myself. Then they'll leave, just because of that. I know how to scare people. Your girlie let you out of the house? Well, I'm just asking. You're the one who says it. I can't come because my girlie, you say girlie, I don't. I'm not the one who uses that term. I would never use that term. Does she know you use that term? Girlie?
Actually, if I get mad or I call it woman,
I bet that works.
she likes it actually. She makes fun.
I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
Just rolled out of bed. So that's and but I told him that was yours.
You are? Oh, you're gonna read it? Yeah. Oh, you're those guys.
We're those guys.
Those guys.
Good. You're here. We're here. Okay.
Where's those guys?
I've only done it once
I already put my name on it anyway, but yeah. I don't know how you want to do it, but I signed the video.
I don't know where it went.
and I. I don't think.
Oh, let me see that. Let me see your score.
I'm set. Put my name back.
Okay, why don't you put your name right next to it?
Okay.
And then when I get into this character, I'll let you hear for special notification, et cetera. And all that. Now, the thing is, probably, you know, 5 minutes each. And I will say these two are coming out.
Yes, it's a problem,
So I'll say, I'm out of town. Out of town, we'll go in
Well, I just was hoping I'd just introduce you, but it looks like I'm going to have to do that. I have to be friendly to everybody. You know that's going to kill me.
I know it's going to kill me.
What?
I know.
I have to introduce my people. You know how that is. Dynamite.
Hey, what's up? What's up?
The things that I want to be aren't, and the things that should be are.
Why you should run for Presidente? You see, I see you smiling now, and when you become Presidente, you be walking around with a frown. Hey, what happened, Presidente?
I just got to stretch my hands so I'm not little hands.
Yeah, well, know what they said. There's an old crow saying, it's always easy to follow the ravens because you eat well.
Because they,
Yeah, the ravens eat well.
they're smarter than the crow.
But the ravens and the crow, they work together.
All right, does this work?
But the ravens
Are we here? Can you hear this? Is this fine? Hello? Anybody? Are you listening?
No.
Give me a round of applause, please. Thank you. Is this good for me, Buford? Am I framed right?
You're a little bit tall.
Well, just then adjust it. No, not like that. With this, you're gonna break the machine.
God damn it, don't tell me shit.
Yeah, well, I tell you that, and you just do the same damn
You're
thing.
supposed to tell me some shit.
Well, you know, you're the one who's not listening. I'm a teacher. I get to say things like that. Please sit down. Be quiet. Take the scissors out of his hand.
Set him on fire.
Give him his medication. He's shuddering again. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Sacred Grounds. I'm your long-term host, but tonight we have a special guest hosts, Richard Sanderell, Buford Bunton, and Greg Pond. They're going to sort of like be there for me. I'm going to be over there making rude comments to the sidebars, which probably won't talk because that's all right. I'm going to read the checklist, but not completely because I'm looking at the time and the clock is ticking, ladies and gentlemen.
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock. So it says, hear ye, welcome to Sacred Grounds with me, Dan Brady, as the current host of this longest running open mic in the known and unknown universe. Thank you very much for the previous applause. Serving up good food and fine poetry since 1972. Remember that, 72, over 40 years. I haven't been here that long, but I was here in 75, and then let me tell you. So please support this reading by enjoying the food and drink served here. Give Teddy a round of applause back there. He's our host. And to continue with this long poetry of all kinds, ladies and gents, is welcome here, but we do ask you to respect the mic, keeping conversations to a whisper. Putting your phones on mute or vibrate or whatever else it takes to avoid having the thing go off in the midst of somebody else's tearful exposition of their tearful expositions. And by going short on your time, if you can do that, it really helps. If you look at the place, it's kind of crowded. We have people that come in later, so you try to go 4-ish, 5-ish minutes usually. Usually it's 5, but if you cut short, it helps, because then we get everybody else on. It says keep to the time limit, usually 5 minutes, but that can change. We have 2 shows, the 7-ish and the 8:40-ish, and that's why people come later. And then they say, how come we only got 30 seconds? Because some hog earlier on took a half hour. What's wrong? Anyway, so asking for generosity. And if you want to be in the loop, we have an opt-in email list, Facebook page, and a YouTube channel, the URL for which is right over there. And you can use this in 5 ways, as I like to say. People can view in and see you live if you tell them you're here and when and like that. If you want to hear somebody's poem again, well, no problemo there. If you want to do a self-critique, if you really want to. And it's a way to put out the word yours, mine, and urge. We have an ongoing theme. Never doubt that a small group of committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, is the only thing that ever has, and that's by whom?
I have no idea.
Thank you, Margaret Mead. The evening's theme should be on the sign-in sheet someplace.
Bubbles?
Bubbles.
Greg!
Thank you. Where is the sign-in sheet? Is it still moving around down there? Hi, Greg.
It's here,
It's where?
right here, I believe.
Oh, we'll give it to these people. They need that more than
These people?
Yes, these individuals. Well, who's the keynote?
Who's the kid?
It's all. Okay, we have Hal Robbins as the keynote. The first show, the keynote, while our feature is D. Allen, who is in the house. I saw him over there. He is giving a nice round.
From Oakland!
From Oakland, a traveling poet. And the second show, The Last Word. Who is the last word?
Me!
Richard Sanderell is the last word. He kicks off and closes out this second show. And the mini feature is, who is the mini feature?
Mini. Who's Mini?
Somebody. It's on there.
Tommy? Wherever.
Look for the word mini, M-I-N-I. Second half, after the feature.
I don't see it.
Go down.
No, Mini.
Oh, yeah.
You haven't got anybody there. Who's it? Hal Robbins.
It's Rob. Rob is the mini feature of the evening. Thank you, Rob. And let's see what else is there. We have fabulous door prizes. I'm going to introduce them from the front. Ahem. Now, if you were here last week, you know that Melissa Mella is traveling now, going to a new look. But this is the DVD of her last performance here, so it's one of those. Cotton Gin Port, a frontier settlement on the upper Tombigbee. Is that Tombigbee or Tombigbee? I don't know.
Tom Bigby.
Tom Bigby. Okay.
Alabama, man.
Okay. Jack D. Elliott and Mary Ann Wells. Star Trek number 10. Mark Twain, Letters from the Earth. If you don't like Mark Twain, that's the thing you need to. Star Trek number 7. These are all Star Treks. Stormwater Poems 2012, 2016 by D. Allen. He just brought it up here. He will sign this. Busy here. And then if you like haiku, this is my haiku collection. It's also. I gotta show you. You walk around and you find things. Take a look at this.
No.
It was sitting on top of a trash can, absolutely clean, and it's a guest book. It's beautiful. I don't want it, but maybe somebody else does. And so then there are
When
these
you
things.
die, have that on your funeral.
Yes, have that. It's really nicely made. I don't know.
It'll look wonderful.
It'll look wonderful. So next week you can choose the theme or the prompt if that's your poison. Being the mini feature, 8 minutes in the second half. The last word, which Richard will do, being here, kicking off the second half and ending it. The keynote, who speaks first, reading a poem by somebody else, and the co-pilot, which you don't have really because we have 2 co-pilots and they're taking care of this. I'm going to be right there. So anyway, that takes care of the announcements. And without further ado, these people are going to start calling names and taking care of business. And I'll be over there to lend support or point and laugh. Thank you.
All right. We have our keynote, Mr. Hal Robbins.
Are these other prizes?
Yeah, Rob just brought them up.
Oh, so sorry about other prizes. Love More Shortbread Fingers. Now there's a kind of like a name there. And then we have also from Rob, Crazy People Music. And another one. First draft Murray Korngold a life to talk about. So we got tons of stuff up here, designed with your mind in mind. Praise be. Let's get started. Pass the
All right, Al Robbins has got a memory like nobody's business, and he's about to display his talents. Al Robbins.
Well, actually, I'm going to read it out of a book.
Oh, just
So, this is a short story that was written in 1946 by Ray Bradbury, called There Will Come Soft Rains. In the living room, the voice clock sang, tick-tock, 7 o'clock, time to get up, time to get up, 7 o'clock, as if it were afraid that nobody would. The morning house lay empty. The clock ticked on, repeating and repeating its sounds into the emptiness. 7-9, breakfast time. 7-9. In the kitchen, the breakfast stove gave a hissing sigh and ejected from its warm interior 8 pieces of perfectly brown toast, 8 eggs, sunny side up, 16 slices of bacon, 2 coffees, and 2 cool glasses of milk. Today is August 4th, 2026, said a second voice from the kitchen ceiling, in the city of Allendale, California. It repeated the day 3 times for memory's sake. Today is Mr. Featherstone's birthday. Today is the anniversary of Toleda's marriage. Insurance is payable, as are the water, gas, and light bills. Somewhere in the walls clicked mechanisms gliding under electric eyes. 8-1, tick-tock, 8-1 o'clock, off to school, off to work, run, run. 8-1, but no doors slammed. No carpets took the soft tread of rubber heels. It was raining outside. The weather box on the front door sang quietly, rain, rain, go away, rubbers, raincoats for today, and the rain tapped on the empty house, echoing. Outside, the garage chimed and lifted its door to reveal the waiting car. After a long wait, the door swung down again. At 8:30, the eggs were shriveled, and the toast was like stone. An aluminum wedge scraped them into the sink, where hot water whirled them down a metal throat, which digested and flushed them away to the distant sea. The dirty dishes were dropped into a hot washer and emerged twinkling dry. 9:15, sang the clock. Time to clean. Out of warrens in the wall, tiny robot mice darted. The rooms were a-crawl with the small cleaning animals, all rubber and metal. They thudded against chairs, whirling their mustached runners, kneading the rug nap, sucking gently at hidden dust. Then, like mysterious invaders, they popped into their burrows. Their pink electric eyes faded. The house was clean. 10 o'clock. The sun came out from behind the rain. The house stood alone in a city of rubble and ashes. This was the one house left standing. At night, the ruined city gave off a radioactive glow, which could be seen for miles. 10:15, the garden sprinklers whirled up in golden founts, filling the soft morning air with scatterings of brightness. The water pelted window panes running down the charred west side where the house had been burned, evenly free of its white paint. The entire west face of the house was save for 5 places. Here, the silhouette in paint of a man mowing a lawn. Here, as in a photograph, a woman bent to pick flowers. Still farther over, their images burned on wood in one titanic instant. A small boy, hands flung into the air. Higher up, the image of a thrown ball, and opposite him a girl, hands raised to catch a ball which never came down. The 5 spots of paint, the man, the woman, the children, the ball, remained. The rest was a thin charcoal layer. The gentle sprinkler rain filled the garden with falling light. Until this day, how well the house had kept its peace. How carefully it had inquired, "Who goes there? What is your password?" And getting no answer from lonely foxes and whining cats, it had shut up its windows and drawn shades in an old maidenly preoccupation with self-protection which bordered on a mechanical paranoia. It quivered at each sound, the house did. If a sparrow brushed a window, the shade snapped up. The bird, startled, flew off. No, not even a bird must touch the house. The house was an altar with 10,000 attendants, big, small, servicing, attending in choirs. But the gods had gone away, and the ritual of the religion continued senselessly, uselessly. 12 noon. A dog whined, shivering, on the front porch. The front door recognized the dog voice and opened. The dog, once huge and fleshy, but now gone to bone and covered with sores, moved in and through the house, tracking mud. Behind it whirred angry mice, angry at having to pick up mud, angry at inconvenience. For not a leaf fragment blew under the door, but what the wall panels flipped open and the copper scrap rats flashed swiftly out. The offending dust, hair, or paper, seized in miniature steel jaws, was raced back to the burrows. There, down tubes which fed into the cellar, it was dropped into the sighing vent of an incinerator, which sat like evil Baal in a dark corner. The dog ran upstairs, hysterically yelping to each door. At last, realizing, as the house realized, that only silence was here. It sniffed the air and scratched the kitchen door. Behind the door, the stove was making pancakes, which filled the house with a rich baked odor and the scent of maple syrup. The dog frothed at the mouth, lying at the door, sniffing, its eyes turned to fire. It ran wildly in circles, biting at its tail, spun in a frenzy, and died. It lay in the parlor for an hour. 2 o'clock, sang a voice. Delicately sensing decay at last, the regiments of mice hummed out as softly as blown gray leaves in an electrical wind. 2:15, the dog was gone. In the cellar, the incinerator glowed suddenly, and a whirl of sparks leaped up the chimney. 2:35, bridge tables sprouted from patio walls. Playing cards fluttered onto pads in a shower of pips. Martinis manifested on an oaken bench with egg salad sandwiches. Music played, but the tables were silent and the cards untouched. At 4 o'clock, the tables folded like great butterflies back through the paneled walls. 4:30, the nursery walls glowed. Animals took shape. Yellow giraffes, blue lions, pink antelopes, lilac panthers cavorting in crystal substance. The walls were glass. They looked out upon color and fantasy. Hidden projections shone, and the walls lived. The nursery floor was woven to resemble a crisp cereal meadow. Over this ran aluminum roaches and iron crickets, and in the hot, still air, butterflies of delicate red tissue wavered among the sharp aroma of animal spores. There was the sound like a great matted yellow hive of bees within a dark bellows, the lazy bumble of a purring lion, and there was the patter of okapi feet, and the murmur of a fresh jungle rain, like other hoofs, falling upon the summer starched grass. Now the walls dissolved into distances of patched weed, mile on mile, and warm, endless sky. The animals drew away into thorn brakes and water holes. It was the children's hour. 5 o'clock, the bath filled with clear, hot water. 6, 7, 8 o'clock, the dinner dishes manipulated like magic tricks, and in the study, a click. In the metal stand opposite the hearth where a fire now blazed up warmly, a cigar popped out, half an inch of soft gray ash on it, smoking, waiting. 9 o'clock, the beds warmed their hidden circuits, for nights were cool here. 9:05, a voice spoke from the study ceiling. Mrs. McClellan, which poem would you like this evening? The house was silent. The voice said at last, since you express no preference, I shall select a poem at random. Quiet music rose to back the voice. Sarah Teasdale, as I recall, your favorite. There will come soft rains and the smell of the ground, and swallows circling with their shimmering sound, and frogs in the pools, singing at night, and wild plum trees in tremulous white. Robins will wear their feathery fire, whistling their whims on a low fence wire, and not one will know of the war, not one will care at last when it is done. Not one would mind, neither bird nor tree, if mankind perished utterly. And spring herself, when she woke at dawn, would scarcely know that we were gone. The fire burned on the stone hearth, and the cigar fell away into a mound of quiet ash on its tray. The empty chairs faced each other between the silent walls, and the music played. At 10 o'clock, the house began to die. The wind blew. A falling tree bough crashed through the kitchen window. Cleaning solvent, bottled, shattered over the stove. The room was ablaze in an instant. "Fire!" screamed a voice. The house lights flashed, water pumps shot water from the ceiling, but the solvent spread on the linoleum, licking, eating under the kitchen door, while the voices took it up in chorus. "Fire! Fire! Fire!" The house tried to save itself. Doors sprang tightly shut, but the windows were broken by the heat, and the wind blew and sucked upon the fire. The house gave ground as the fire, in 10 billion angry sparks, moved with flaming ease from room to room and then up the stairs, while scurrying water rats squeaked from the walls, pistoled their water and ran for more, and the wall sprays let down showers of mechanical rain. But too late. Somewhere, sighing, a pump shrugged to a stop. The quenching rain ceased. The reserve water supply, which had filled baths and washed dishes for many quiet days, was gone. The fire crackled up the stairs. It fed upon Picassos and Matisses in the upper halls like delicacies, baking off the oily flesh, tenderly crisping the canvases into black shavings. Now the fire lay in beds, stood in windows, changed the colors of drapes, and then reinforcements. From attic trapdoors, blind robot faces peered down with faucet mouths gushing green chemical. The fire backed off as even an elephant must at the sight of a dead snake. Now there were 20 snakes whipping over the floor, killing the fire with a clear, cold venom of green froth. But the fire was clever. It had sent flames outside the house, up through the attic to the pumps there. An explosion. The attic brain which directed the pumps was shattered into bronze shrapnel on the beams. The fire rushed back into every closet and felt of the clothes hung there. The house shuddered, oak bone on bone, its bared skeleton cringing from the heat, its wire, its nerves revealed as if a surgeon had torn the skin off to let the red veins and capillaries quiver in the scalded air. "Help! Help! Fire! Run! Run!" Heat snapped mirrors like the brittle winter ice, and the voices wailed, "Fire! Fire! Run! Run!" like a tragic nursery rhyme. A dozen voices, high, low, like children dying in a forest, alone, alone, and the voices fading as the wires popped their sheathings like hot chestnuts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 voices died. In the nursery the jungle burned. Blue lions roared, purple giraffes bounded off. The panthers ran in circles, changing color, and 10 million animals, running before the fire, vanished off toward a distant, steaming river. 10 more voices died. In the last instant, under the fire avalanche, other choruses, oblivious, could be heard announcing the time, playing music, cutting the lawn by remote control mower, or setting an umbrella frantically out, and in the slamming and opening front door, 1,000 things happening, like a clock shop when each clock strikes the hour insanely before or after the others. A scene of maniac confusion, yet unity, singing, screaming, a few last cleaning mice darting bravely out to carry the horrid ashes away. And one voice with sublime disregard for the situation read poetry aloud in the fiery study until all the spools burned, until all the wires withered and the circuits cracked. The fire burst the house and let it slam flat down, puffing out skirts of spark and smoke. In the kitchen, an instant before the rain of fire and timber, the stove could be seen making breakfasts at a psychopathic rate. 10 dozen eggs, 6 loaves of toast, 20 dozen bacon strips, which, eaten by fire, started the stove working again, hysterically hissing. The crash, the attic smashing into kitchen and parlor, the parlor into cellar, cellar into sub-cellar, deep freeze, armchair, film tapes, circuits, beds, and all like skeletons thrown in a cluttered mound deep under. Smoke and silence. A great quantity of smoke. Dawn showed faintly in the east. Among the ruins, one wall stood alone. Within the wall, a last voice said, over and over again and again, even as the sun rose to shine upon the heaped rubble and steam, today is August 5th, 2026. Today is August 5th, 2026. Today is...
Thank you, Al Robbins. J.R. Rush is probably the romantico of the house, depending on what he's going to do tonight. But be prepared for the
Hello,
J.R.
everyone.
Rush.
What a pleasure to be with you this evening. I bring you good news. I bring you love. I'm going to tell you this because it's something that sort of recently came to me. The fact that life is a gift, and this is your gift of love, your life, and how you live it says everything about you and how you'll use your gift. The point is that you're very awesome, and you can do a lot of good and bad things with your gift. And I'm glad that you've decided to share your gift with all of us. So I think what we should do is give each one a big hand. To start off my little title story, I'm gonna sing a little bar for you. It started on a Monday when I felt so awfully blue. It ended on a Tuesday when I suddenly met you. Now you are my special love. The things I sing are true. It's what your love has done to me. Thank you. The title of this piece is called Lemonade. Yo, Miss Wonderful, I need to say this. You got a minute? What if I told you my life is now all about you? When people ask questions about us, all I can think about is lemonade and how your radiating effervescence is a masterpiece at thrilling me. When love entered our hearts from the Milky Way, no theory on romance was better written. The love payload was explosive and irretrievable. I wanted you to know this, Miss Wonderful, and why I get this enormous rush pushing your big, fine lemonade wagon around. I get positively excited sometimes, and I can't help shouting, "Oh, Miss Wonderful, your lemonade is propulsive and astonishing." Again and again, I relive in my head our many delightful love story moments. The day stands out when I became the jock who stole your heart. That became our mutual legacy project, written on the stars. On a holiday in a gallery, we were having heart-pumping fun when Cupid found us. I must have said something naughty. My style you could love forever, you said. That's when I knew you were the one. From then on, Miss Lemonade, it's been person to person. The two of us beating the drums like nobody's business. There's something I've been saving, and you can take it to the bank. Whenever I think about you, it comes down to this.
I'm not leaving San Francisco with your big fine body here waiting for me. Told me you would love me long as I wanted you to. Please, Miss Wonderful, can you imagine what life would be like without just a little drama? That makes it easier to bring up an old and forgotten issue. The facts are simple, and let me break it down to you. I got this call from special delivery to pick up a letter and a check from a woman in Chi-Town begging me to come back. Like I've been saying, Miss Wonderful, don't even think about that. And let me assure you, I'm not leaving San Francisco with your big fine body here waiting for me. Told me you would love me long as I wanted you to. It's been one big party between us, Miss Wonderful, and I'm not letting anyone mess that up. Maybe a snapshot of places I've traveled will motivate in you a little more empathy for me. I've been to many places. I've seen lots of this and that. Finding a woman really stuck on me, I'm never going to give her up. As referring to you, Miss Lemonade. And need I say so? I'm not leaving San Francisco with your big fine body here waiting for me. Having said you'd love me forever, I'm happy as a man can be. About that Chicago issue, Miss Lemonade, this is all that I will say. That Chi-Town woman will be furious, no longer having me around. She knows nothing about my new love queen. That's all I can say about that. But with due respect, Miss Lemonade, it's all about you. Having backed me in all my plans. When I build a new house on Nob Hill, you'll be first with a key in hand. I want you to know this, Miss Lemonade. You're the only woman I keep. And more specifically, your lemonade is still the driving force taking me beyond nirvana. Over my lifetime, I prayed for someone like you, happily at my side, kicking it the way you do. I promise to you, I have every intention of keeping. But before we climb Nob Hill, I will say this one more time. I'm not leaving San Francisco with your big fine body here waiting for me. Having promised to love me forever, I'm as happy as a man can be. Thank you.
We have a lot of people here tonight, and we've really got to start cutting down the time already. We're only on the third person, and we're really running behind. So, Derek Brandt, and it has a slash Brian Dunlop. Are you guys going to do this together?
He's going to go first, and then the other guy's going to follow. They're from out of town.
I know.
Special arrangement. This is their first time here, ladies and gentlemen.
I gotta be good now, Jesus.
Well, you know you are. So. Ready? That's where you get it. There you go.
The guy at the table next to mine, he has the I'm on a first date laugh. The one he hopes is infectious enough to cast a smoke screen in front of the physical flaws he deems less than awe-inspiring. So his head Pez dispensers back, flexing the horseshoe of his jaw as his neck and shoulders become pinched pie crust edges in an exaggerated all just to detract from her imminent realization that he doesn't quite look like his profile picture anymore. You see that shirtless muscle flex pic? That was taken back at spring break.
sophomore year of college. 2002. So since then, that six-pack is rounded into one keg. His hair is a thinning pile of ruins from a once grand follicle empire. And if we're being honest, no one's bought a ticket to that gun show in over a year and a half. Let alone stay to the end. So he figures, if he can get the women at the neighboring tables to laugh hard enough, they'll fix their gaze on his date, wishing they could take her place. Because after all, who doesn't want to be with a funny guy, right? Right? See, the only problem with dating the life of the party is that when his last call and the music stops, the volume of his voice doesn't know quite how to normal. And if we're being honest, isn't there a little too much truth in silence? So he keeps talking and gesturing and joking loudly just to distract her from the desperate truth that's oozing out of the truth of that big plastic smile. I really need this date to go well. I am lonelier than I will ever admit to you. And as much as I relish the idea of getting you in my bed at some point in the future, I would trade any chance of that ever happening in right now for one real kiss tonight. Just one. Oh, wait. And if you do find me worthy of an embrace of your lips, do me a favor. Can you please mean it? All right, guys. So, myself and Brian Dunlap, that you're going to hear after me, came from Los Angeles. We're on a bit of a book tour. My book is entitled Articulate Scars. It's my very first publication. You can give it up for that. So if anything I'm saying resonates with you, I would love to sign a copy for you. So, question. Valentine's just passed. How many of you guys have Valentine's? Hey, screw you, because I didn't. The aftermath of us tastes like a pissed-on penny on the tip of my tongue. A pungent bite of bullshit steeped ad nauseum in the absolute worst parts of the human condition. I mean, how the hell do two people fuck things up this immensely? This clusterfuck, this sacrilegious car wreck we created doesn't even exist in nature. Because you will never see two bears take turns mauling each other's spirit till neither of them can ever enjoy the taste of honey again. Nor will you see one hibernating bear awaken just to wake up another hibernating bear to tell them how fucking lazy they are. And do you know why? Because that's fucking stupid, that's why. And if I could tie a knot in the top of my regrets like a used rubber and flush them down the toilet, maybe for the first time in a very long time, my sleep wouldn't taste like you. And maybe, just maybe this once, when I dream of us drowning in an ocean of our tears, at least one of us will make it back to shore. Thank you, guys. Up next, Mr. Brian Dunlap from Los Angeles, y'all.
Give it up. First time. Give it up.
Thank you. All right. Well, I'm going to be reading two poems from this chapbook I have called Concrete Paradise. And growing up in LA and being from LA and still living in LA, just the city's really influenced me. And so all these poems are exploring the intersection of race and place in LA. So here's the first poem. A land etched in past lives. 1. I'm a second generation Angelino who has passed my mother's high school so often I've lost count. Uni High, carrying little known Tongva history. My mother's history, left in Michigan, a place I've never been. 2. In Michigan, my mother visited the family farm where her own mother, as a young girl, gathered eggs nearly dawn, where my mother grew close to her sweet Aunt Dorothy, a woman still wed to that land, a land my mother left. 3. I drive through a land etched in past lives, where I've carved my personal history. I pass Kuramvugna Springs, natural fresh water, giving birth to a Tongva village, where Father Sarah led mass with the natives 6 years before the 13 colonies declared their independence, where I arrived at the crack of dawn on a Saturday as a senior, tired and cold, to take the SAT. 4. In my hand is my great-grandmother's stained and worn first-year reader. Carefully turning the fragile and loose pages, I'm turning back time. I find written before the title page some of her last surviving handwriting. Miss Esther Martin, 5. Handwriting over 100 years old. Find the land stamped on a tiny sticker on the inside back cover. Dunnings, Vicksburg, Michigan. Thank you. I don't usually read this poem, but I thought I'd read it, and it just really captured some of the people that live in LA, and it's called An Hour and a Half Till Sunrise. 1. The sky is still dark. An hour and a half till sunrise. But Martha's eyes are open, and her feet touch the carpet. Wisps of streetlight illuminate storefront signs in Spanish along the city's commercial spine. Pacific Avenue. Huntington Park still sleeps. Her bones creak as she stands, rubs her sleep-encrusted eyes. Another day on the west side, Mar Vista Park. Only a cart of cleaning supplies accompanying the deafening silence of the gym. Martha to work. Not after 2 daughters, 2 quinceañeras, twice shedding tears as they left for college. Martha rustles through pages of La Opinion, the gurgle of coffee filling the air, content for the deep bond she's kept with her sister. To laugh with Manuel, her boss, crow's feet etched in the corners of her eyes. 2. When she steps onto the bus at Pacific and Slauson, she has time to people watch, to think, to reflect. Mostly tired Indio in black faces, hands rough and worn. As she stares out the window, sun's rich yellow-white awakening beige stucco buildings, Martha remembered that, without money for vacations, she told her daughter to experience L.A. The world through L.A. The deep thump of taiko drums during Oban, the African drum circle in Leimert Park, the vibrant Chicano murals in Borough Heights. Martha smiles, massages her arthritic thumbs, unwilling to be bitter about her Huntington Park, unwilling to let the people on the west side look at her city, if at all, with dismissive eyes. Thank you.
All right, the next poet is somewhat new to the area. I mean, he's not new to the area, new to the scene. And I think you're going to find him a very strong voice. He is the voice of authority. I give you Vincent. First time, not actually, but give it up as if it is. It's been a long time.
So we were down in LA, and since Tommy Mecca Avacoli is here, I'm gonna read a little San Francisco for y'all. By the way, Forum Magazine, CCSF's 81-year-old litter magazine, is accepting submissions through next Wednesday, April 27th. You can go to forumccsf.org. Poetry, fiction, creative nonfiction, and visual art. D. Allen's been in as well. Okay, we'll start with a sonnet. This is called The Hills. 7 by 7, our loving arms embrace, holding up the lights at Columbus, draping with the beats, our city by the bay, reflecting nothing to waste, with Grant and Pacific raising red lanterns amid the Cantonese. Gray Slick's white rabbit hops near Ashbury's summer flower, nibbling at hope with milk, standing courageously at Castro, yelling to Twin Peaks, the ever-reaching Sutro Tower, chanting melodies down to Graham at the Golden Gate Polos. Beyond Broadway, Mabuhay Gardens and the Dead Kennedys, slam dancing near the Fillmores, Grateful Dead buried at Gary, with drifting cherry blossoms near Webster. Hello, it's February. Mewing cows at Geneva, balloon drops from the holding company. Starkly, Potrero's Ward 86. Sadly, God picked all his flowers. Moscone gunned down at Polk. Bloody memories forever.
Oh.
And every time we turn around, we got somebody with a piece of metal pointed at people. This is called America is a Gun. Okay. Perfect.
Now you feel like Tonga.
Nah, I'll never know what Tonga feels like, but I wish. Okay. This is called America is a Gun. Spain is Picasso, small plates, paella, and flamenco. Sweden is a blue-eyed Viking, messy meatball, and ABBA's Queen dancing. Argentina is a tango, Buenos Aires, a Vida, and the hand of Diego. Italy is Roma, Vesuvius, the Vatican, and Venice's gondola. But America is a nickel-plated .45 caliber made by Beretta. Peru is Lima, the Andes, Machu Picchu, and the trail of the Inca. Belgium is diamonds, waffles, the Flemish, and Godiva. Australia is a kangaroo, aboriginals, Vegemite, and a didgeridoo. Germany is a Stein, Bach, Beethoven, Merkel, beer, warm and cold combined. But America is a stolen police issue, Smith & Wesson, the serial number removed. England is a queen, Big Ben, Windsor Castle, and afternoon tea. Japan is sushi, ramen, Godzilla, and Mount Fuji. Iceland is fire and ice with a blue lagoon, darkness and light. And Mexico is south of its border, a sombrero, tequila, the whipping boy by federal order. But America is Columbine, Sandy Hook, Orlando, Sin City, and Parkland spilling with ammo, its sights protected, locked and loaded, eerily silent, the second never amended. America is a gun. And we'll take you back to where I live. This is called Resentment of Prose Explodes. Resentment of Prose explodes. Down around the corner is 17th Street, avocado toast, and $8 lattes. Where the boys in the 80s weren't the same anymore, with a carefree blue pill. And who knew? I lived to be 54 in a studio apartment near Dolores Park because I never smoked crystal meth yet. And I never zero converted yet. And I still don't have a plan, but a languishing condom in my back pocket where my comb used to be because follically challenged I've become. And I visit my mom in assisted living every 2 or 3 weeks. And she asks me if I've lost weight. And I smile instead of turning a table over because a lot of my friends are dead and had been dying or wasted away or moved away or relapsed into another world where having wine at dinner became an option and white knuckling it upon waking and eyeing 5:00 p.m. too often, just past lunch. And the fruit shelf has been overrun by cisgender girls and their gender-conforming boyfriends who loudly proclaim their love of diversity through their white spaces, Sephora purchases, and littered beer bottles. And gentrification invades from all sides, with my shoulder blades stiff and my fists tight, clenching my teeth, and Byrite hits the square and emails us our receipts straight out of the neighborhood. Thank you.
Oh! All right, the next one. I don't know what he's going to read tonight, but he should be the poet laureate of the San Francisco Giants.
Yeah.
So maybe anybody in here want to make a nomination to the Giants.
Yeah, thank you.
But anyway, Buford Munford.
Tall people. Cool day. It's a cool day. Cindy, the poodle, sits on my lap in the front of her body, her butt and tail on her mom or grandma's pretty sofa. Old time style blues plays on the radio. All right, let's. San Francisco Giants and me. I have to go with the introduction. The Giants are only one reason why I like living in San Francisco. Friends, a job that wears me out, but really is satisfying, helping developmentally disabled students right here, living among people, like the easiest for people to understand. This is a very important part of my chronological and emotional history. There were times when things were hard back in the old married days. The last part of my life right now is pretty good though. I grew up in Mobile, Alabama amidst sweltering heat and a conservative, very sweltering political climate. Then my late older sister saved me from all that by first bringing me to Atlanta, Georgia, and then moving my still living sister brought me to San Francisco, giving me a place to sleep for a few months before I found a platonic roommate situation with her best friend in high school. I know that I want what I want most of the time, yet I found that the glitter of a yet another new situation is swelling my heart.
Oh.
All right, let's try a little bit more. All right. Men, women. Men, women, luck the size of breasts and vagina, indecision, coming together for elation or disappointment. Men, women, love, confusion. All right, and this is, we're going back a few months or a little bit, not even a few. This is called Columbus Day in the Park. I sit with my good friend in the park in North Beach, the sun hottish on my neck. She's got a few lines, actually about a page written. There's a car short with their little short fat cars I've seen in car races. Planes leave trails of smoke in the air. There's a first aid tent here in Washington Square Park. Across the street is the Italian Athletic Club. Little kids, parents, perhaps a woman with extensive tattoos, not perhaps, absolutely, stares for a moment at planes and birds that flock and flock and part and then fly in unison away. A youngish woman's purple earrings dangle from her ears and she rubs her neck. My good friend records her own thoughts.
All right, the next poet is someone who's, as far as I'm concerned, the whole city should know about her. There's not enough people who hear her. She has a strong voice. She's very, very modest about it.
I wish you would print more of her stuff. I want you guys to give it up for Stephanie Manning.
The water is coming, and now coming live to lowlanders everywhere. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, presenting the ocean. Well, not the old ocean you remember. This is the new old ocean. What used to be frozen is now liquefied. Come one, come all, and see this wonder of Mother Nature. Well, not just nature, but it took a lot of burning of fossil fuels and carbon emissions to swell the swells, to make money for the swells, to rid the lowlands of squatters, to create this new moat around the hill and mountain estates of those who can afford the price of high living very high up. What? You say you've lost everything? That it's all underwater? Well, what did you expect from global warming? Did anybody so much as lift a finger to help curb carbon emissions? You say protesters protested? And half the world covered their ears and buried their heads in the sand, denied it even existed? You say children were taught to recycle? Too little, too late there. You say scientists did their best to keep you informed as the North and the South Poles and Greenland melted and the seas rose? Did anybody do anything to stop it, like quit driving cars? Did the oil industry convert to renewable energy sources? Did car companies quit making internal combustion engines? Seems to me you lost an awful lot of species without anyone so much as batting an eye. You say both you and your wife needed to work to be able to buy smartphones and computers for you and your children, and you were just too busy to stop driving. Well, I got news for you. It's too late now. The water is right up to the tracks. Your basements are flooded, and you get another 100 feet of water coming. Your cars will be lifted up and floated downtown till a log jam of cars stops them, somewhere down the valley between Starbucks and a tree. But the coffee beans don't grind anymore, and the internet cables are shorting out. You would not come to the disaster, so the disaster has come to you. And as Hamlet said, enterprises in this regard their currents turn awry and lose the name of action. Nothing works anymore. You waited too long. Grab your loved ones and head for the hills. Sad to see it all go, especially the internet.
Oh! Yeah, an elder. Doing a new dance.
New dance. Tonight's theme. Bubbles form on the window.
Bubbles.
Altering the view. A looming mesa, a flowing river as the train moves through storm zones. If it quacks, the man in the long red tie, quack, 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 a defined fascist. No need for Congress, no need for laws. I want to do this faster. Signs executive actions with a marking pen. This after standing the country on its ear for 35 days. After declaring space a warfare domain. Only I can do this. Gun running, concentration camps for kids, almond-eyed babies in Yemen and Syria. He waddles to the golf course. He swims in hate at another rally. Quack, quack, quack. Any sign of even a fragment of democracy left? Stuff the rhetoric, just this once. Pull down the faded bunning and address honest human need and the planet's drastic situation.
Oh.
Morning in the sandbox. The kid noise has taken an ugly turn. War, war, socialist, socialist, bad people, Little Donnie has made the little neighborhood girl cry. His pants are muddied with corruption. All the smarter kids have left for another playground. When we hear grandmother on the front porch, "Come in, children. Put down your shovels. It's lunchtime. Donnie, go home." And I'm not going to tell you twice.
Thank you, Cursive, for being our wonderful host. That's great. Thank you, all of you. Thank you for the whole kit and caboodle. You're doing great. Well, we're lucky. Aren't we lucky? Yay! Okay, sea art. These are just some, one is for the moon and one is for wood on the beach. Okay. We find wood upon the beach smoothly fashioned into pieces of sculpture fashioned by the ocean, the tide, sand, and shore, artwork left by the sea. We find sand dollars, some perfectly shaped, others broken, dollars of the sea, never meant to exploit or bribe, seldom traded, saved by grandchildren. Delicate designs on the sandy dollar surface, examined and caressed like sand itself, artwork of the sea. And this is for our full moon yesterday and maybe tonight. Anyway. Cat in the Moon. I imagine the moon as if it were a ball chased by a witch's cat, followed by shadows of clouds curling like cat's tails pursuing the moon. Although I know that's perfectly absurd, I still imagine it and think what fun if the cat were to take the witch's broom or play croquet with the moon, hitting it through hoops of stardust. And I did a feature like 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I promised I would bring books. So if you want them for free or $1, I got different ones: Sky, Injustice, Our Fragile Earth, Refugees, and Others Who Live on the Margins, Struggle in the Margins. Anyway, and so I'm going to do a last one from something here. Open up. A Precarious World. Every morning, 4 a.m., the bird above my window sings. Until this morning, I look up after dawn into her most precarious nest and pray that all is well. Perhaps she merely follows her young offspring into an unknown and most precarious world. Well, I want to give you an update on this. The birds are back. I don't know how many of you have birds around your house, but the birds were singing, and I am so happy. So she left, and maybe with her offspring, but she's back. So, do something scary. I'll end with this. Eleanor Roosevelt told us to do something scary every day. The smaller I am, the scarier the world. As a mouse, I worry about the cat, and as a cat, hide from the dog. But as a bird, I am ambivalent. I understand the scariness of every day. And sing. Eleanor Roosevelt would understand.
Come on, burn the house down. Icon of San Francisco. This man has done a lot. Not enough. Never enough.
We all know what the sound of one hand clapping is. How about the sound of no hands clapping?
Yes.
It's what a vice president hears at a Munich conference after he conveys greetings from the president. A tree falls in the forest. A star explodes in outer space. It's the same deafening silence at a conference in Poland when he asked European nations to withdraw from the Iran nuclear deal. He pauses, expecting applause. He gasps, a defeated look on his face, no doubt a sinking feeling in his gut. The ship is going down again. Silence isn't always golden. screw pence, right?
That's
More than
It
that.
was worse than hell. It was Lubell's. Old brick storefront from the turn of the century. Interior walls painted a yellow that had faded into a sickly hue. Cracked, smoky floor-to-ceiling mirrors. Fluorescents casting an emaciated light on graying white bras piled high on a table in the center of the large open room. Beat-up coats on racks made from wobbly lead pipes. Shoes they wore a century before, piled on top of each other on the floor. Everything smelled of mothballs and mildew, even the salespeople, who mastered the art of snapping gum. Italian women, 4'9", who cursed in 2 languages, towered over my sister and me as they pulled at the mound of clothes on the tables. Sometimes a tug of war over who grabbed what first. We held on to Mama's worn house dress as something resembling a girdle flew past us. Mama ignored the shouting and kept on searching for buried treasures. Every article of clothing I ever wore had poor marked on it in day glow letters. It's still there. We're going to end with a short poem that actually was written and published back in 1976. And unfortunately, the situation of bullying in the schools that it describes could have been written today. Unfortunately, right? Because the problem has not gone away. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not reading that poem. I just fucked up. Okay, I'm reading another poem that I wrote in the 70s also. I realized I changed my mind back there at the last moment. I'll read the other poem next week. Yeah, I know.
Tommy!
I know, sorry. This poem I wrote also in the 70s, and the reference, and rewrote it in the 80s, and the reference to people dying is a reference to the AIDS crisis. So this poem goes back a while, and it also was published. Bless me, Father, for I have sinned. It has been 1 week since my last confession. I talked in class 3 times, swore 5 times, had 17 impure thoughts, and touched myself 10 times. Oops. Did you derive pleasure from it? Yes, Father. How many times? All 10 times. If I could see him, if I could climb to the top of the highest mountain and stare into his ancient face, I'd ask, why do you let my people die? But there is no mountain, no face, no reason. At 16, I told the priest I did not believe. He had me stay after school to scrape gum from the bottom of desktops and sweep floors. There were no answers, only retributions for wrong questions. Father, it has been decades since my last confession. I touched myself and many other men. I tasted cum, tongue, dick more times than anyone can imagine. But I have committed no sins.
The actor, Richard May. There goes the actor. Here comes the actor. The actor.
So this is a piece written by the great playwright Martin McDonough, and it's from his play called The Pillow Man. It won the Olivier Award for Best Play of 2003 in London, and fair warning, it's a bit dark. Fair enough. I'll tell you what there is about me. there is a overwhelming and all-pervading hatred. A hatred of people like you, of people who put even the littlest finger on children. I wake up with it. It wakes me up. It rides to work on the bus with me. It whispers to me, they will not get away with it. I come in early to make sure that all the bindings are clean and the electrodes are in the right order. I admit it, sometimes I use excessive force. And sometimes I use excessive force on entirely innocent individuals. But I'll tell you this, if an entirely innocent individual leaves this room for the outside world, they're not going to contemplate even raising their voice to a little kid, in the off chance that I might hear them and drag them in here for another load of excessive fucking force. Now, is this kind of behavior in an officer of the law in some way questionable morally? Of course it fucking is. But I don't fucking care. Because when I'm an old man, little kids are gonna follow me around and they're gonna know my name and what I stood for. And they're gonna give me some of their sweets and thanks. And I'm gonna take those sweets and thank them and tell them to get home safe. And I'm gonna be happy. Not because of the sweets. I don't really like sweets. But because I'd know in my heart that if I hadn't been there, not all of them would have been there. Because I'm a good policeman. I stand for something. I stand for something. I stand on the right side. I'm not always right. But I stand on the right side, the side of the child, the opposite side to you. So, when I hear that a child has been killed in a fashion such as this little Jesus thing, I would torture the fuck out of you just for writing a story like that, let alone acting it out. Because two wrongs don't make a right. Two wrongs do not make a right. So, kneel down over here, please, so I can connect you to this battery. Thank you.
Oh.
Oh.
This is made. The free radical. The free radical.
Free radical. That's
Free
me.
radical.
Actually, I'm expensive.
Radical. Radical.
I'll be over here. Just let me know. Is that all right?
We'll find out in a moment.
We'll find out in a moment, ladies and gentlemen. How are you out there? Thank you, Richard, and all the others who have come before. I don't like being responsible for what I read, but today I'm going to be responsible. All right. Another one bites the dust. This is a little dated, but not much. Another one bites the dust. Another one, ladies and gents, yet another. This time, a synagogue in Philadelphia yet already. City of brotherly love. In the Tree of Life Synagogue. Nice name. Nice neighborhood. Nice day. Sunny and all that. Quiet. Yep, serene. When a crazed loony and noted rabid anti-Semite who, quote, can't sit by and watch my people get slaughtered, unquote, said, I'm going in. And by God, he did. Guns a-blazing, people screaming, dying, police shot up while the perp is wounded, downed, and taken to hospital. Then There follows the usual coverage of grief, crying, shrieking, same old, same old. Still, there were things to mull over. Someone said, "It looks like it's an anti-Semitic crime." No shit, Sherlock. I mean, wow, what insight. Of course, the resident dim bulb, the dump, weighed in. "It's a terrible, terrible thing. If there had been an armed guard inside the temple, ... he said. What a lame-brained idiot. But it was Governor Tom Wolfe saying, quote, "These senseless acts of violence are not who we are as Americans, ... unquote. And that's what prompted this, my take on the matter. First, he's just plain wrong on that score. Dead wrong. In fact, this event was as American as apple pie, as they used to say. Gun killings happen every day, dozens of times a day, thousands, let that sink in, thousands die every year. Well, actually, tens of thousands every year. In fact, during the years of the Vietnam War, we had far more dead and wounded on the streets and in the homes of America than we ever did on the battlefields of that godforsaken conflict. Go back, do the math. It's there, public knowledge. Yet, where are the daily, weekly vigils and marches? Where's the countrywide public displays and outcry? I have asked this before. What will it take? What, in God's name, will it take? Yeah. Go back to your 1,000-channel media centers, your music videos, posting your selfies, log into your investment portfolios, go to work, do your jobs, buy something already, enjoy your little tiny lives, offer prayers, send a check, hang your head at the water cooler and say, "It's just terrible." Tell yourself it's just another lone wolf. Then look up the term stochastic terrorism. See what it means. Learn what's going on. It's brainwashing by the brigade. Perps prompted by propaganda. A malevolent mind manipulated by the media. It's all there, folks. The map, the dots, the connections. And yet, good Christian ministers spew it. The residential dim bulb spews it. And the innocent, unwary, or simply luckless die as they attend a nice place of worship in a nice neighborhood on an ordinary day, when the wind is soft, the air sweet, and love, oh, love is murdered by madness.
Give it up for the Free Radical. And the next person, Linda Addison. Are you new? I am. All right.
Hi. Delighted to be here. So much.
to have you.
Oh, thank you. So I'm going to read two poems.
All right.
From Being Full of Light, Insubstantial. And my son did the cover. So the first one, fighting smells like copper, pennies on the eyes of the dead. The next one is called Mami Wada, Goddess of Clear Blue. And she was an African goddess that was known for giving sailors maps to navigate. Worry sings bright in your neurons. Your light's so blurred, I could barely taste you while I was sleeping, dreaming of the time before. I melted down 2 galaxies making my way here. Why you wait so long to call for me, baby? Your pain is clean and clear in the thickening tattoos on your back. You no longer hunger for us in your dreams. Silence has softened your soul, eaten at your aspect. You rest in my arms now. It's gonna be all right. I used to visit the voodoo pantheons when you gyrated in dusty courtyards. Back when you came to us free and open in your dreams. Mama Vishnu and I introduced star maps to the faithful. Crowded your dreams with tomorrows full of lunacy. Brought your children to my lap, just like you now. Let them look through my eyes into the darkness to see. Nothing is empty. Lean their heads against my belly so they could hear the purr of the never born. What took you from us is the hard things you build so you can forget the soft things. But hunger for a way to live without bruised, outstretched hands don't just go away because you fill the night with bright lights, making the moon and stars blush with neglect. You're always hungry for things to fill your hands and pockets, shiny, unneeded things. I stayed with you because with all that wanting, you made an opening for me. Couldn't resist your eyes roll right upward and inward to me. You know how vain you can be. It's vanity hurting you now, baby. There's always a way to heal. You got to know where to look. I savored the small wounds unhealed in your heart, even when my name lay dead in your mouth.
Come back. Come back. You live around here, you come back.
I'm visiting my son from New York via Tucson.
Well, then next time, come back
I
up.
will be happy to.
Well, all right. It's time for the evening feature. And I could get up in front, but I'm going to be that voice that nobody, it'll be the ghost. I want to introduce Dee Allen. I have something I had written, and I really can't do any better than what I wrote maybe 4 years ago about the man. Met Dee Allen 11 years ago, recited a poem named Waiting. Immediately encouraged me to come out and read. In the heart, soul, intelligence of our greatest truth tellers, Dee reflects in his writing pain, sadness, joy, humor. I am honored that he has asked this elder to introduce him tonight. And like Miles Davis, my favorite musician in music, Dee delivers like a boxer who jabs, undercuts, dances, ducks, alive with his words. Heed his clarion call. I welcome you, Dee Allen.
European past. On that isle, among several, the biggest off the coast from the mainland, shaped like a lady's boot, many abandoned, orange groves, olive trees, tomato vines, sprigs of basil, warm, pleasing countryside, kissed by the sun, fishers, farmers, goat and sheep herders, winemakers, Pelortani mountains, royal upright tombs, surrounding walls and opera houses of Palermo, beating heart of the region. grand palatial villas and artistic fountains of Messina, caponata, arancini, limoncello, cannoli, spaghetti with sardines, prosciutto crudo, fincione, songs from accordion squeeze, mandolin strings, mounting poverty from outside La Città. On steamships, courses set for colder climes to the west, per un nuovo casa nel nuovo mondo, che chiamano America. Alien port at Lady Liberty's feet were they, including La Familia Ferrara, La Familia di Nonno Paterno Mio, felt hope unimagined, saw immediate astonishing changes in their lives, starting with their last names, courtesy of U.S. Customs. That was called European Pass, from page 12 of the new Pacino Press anthology, The Land Lives Forever, Ancestors, Place, and Memory. From the other new anthology from Vagabond Books, based in Los Angeles, called Extreme, an anthology of social and environmental justice. From page 43. And this poem, as it appears on the page, is in 2 columns. It's called a contrapuntal poem, where a single idea is expressed in the form of 2 columns, 2 different personalities. This is called Opponents, and I'll be joined on stage by Rob and the actor, Richard May.
They despise us to the core. Our statues they hate. Our flags they hate. Our heritage they hate. Our culture they hate. They'd rather have our first world turn into the third world of immigrants. Have faces in the media be darker ones. Have faces at the top be darker ones. We want to turn the clock back to simpler times before the mud people threaten our ethnic future.
They despise us to the core. Our safety they threaten. Our lives they threaten. Our struggle they threaten. Our races they threaten. This is the 21st century. We can't believe we're still protesting this. Fear, guns, and slurs from the ones preferring a mirror image of the past. More division, more terror, more being called boy the older we get. If you love yourself, your people, and diversity, don't let them turn time back. Black lives matter.
White lives matter.
Hatred marches not from both sides, only one.
Oh.
That poem was called Opponents, from page 43 of Extreme. And it was a reenactment of the Unite the Right torch march turned race riot in Charlottesville in August 2017. And the next poems that'll be coming from this book they'll be coming from this new book, Skeletal Black, Poems from Beneath the Poverty Line. Just came out this month. Since this is a long piece, I'm going to be doing this one as an excerpt. It's the title piece called Skeletal Black. Days thereafter, a wreck stands on the street corner, but just barely. The ebony framing which once held the latest billboard, leaning over to the lower left, like a certain iconic tower in Pisa, Italy. There's no more roof, A cascade of broken sheetrock, halfway fallen light fixtures on top of gutted rooms, scorched walls, no walls or windows remain in front. Open scene of wreckage. Still stinks of burnt wood and soot every time I walk past it. An idyllic mural of the Oakland cityscape painted on a side wall. A solitary stove sign are all that remain intact from the mysterious blaze. Easy Pay Payment Center, Millennium Tax Service, MacArthur Nails, Starfish Seafood Cafe, Dolphin Pharmacy, Kingdom Builders Thrift Store. Visited, depended on, now gone, like the Walkman, the VCR, the pager, relics of the past. Rubble and a chain link fence surrounds the exposed storefronts now, not customers. Firefighters claimed it was faulty electrical wiring that started the blaze from the attic of Easy Pay, but the neighbors knew better. They suspect foul play. That was an excerpt of the title poem Skeletal Black, the result of removal by fire. And the front cover photo was actually taken showing the scorched out remains of a building that sat on the corner of 73rd and MacArthur, about 9 blocks down the street from where I lived. This is what is left of it. Now, about 3 years later, it's fenced off, an empty lot.
Show it to the camera. No, here. Face me with it.
All right, I'm facing you.
There you go. Now bring it back out. And there you go. I want to get the picture. I want to get the picture. There we go. All right. Got it.
The next piece is connected, but it's a little shorter, and it's about a different fire on the other side of Oakland, to the west. This is called Skeletal Black 2, and it's in the form of a villanelle. Without warning, they awakened to a raging inferno. No alarms, no sprinklers. Gray smoke flowed, a product of fire, a message in char. They climbed out of windows, down fire escapes, personal belongings left inside to an igneous fate. A property lot, a blackened scar. Flames struck 43 rooms like a preemptive attack. 3 stories burnt through, skeletal black. A product of fire, a message in char. Forward to cease, Mo River Place, the red stood staring chaos in the face. A property lot, a blackened scar. The former tenants had cause to grieve. Perhaps it was a landlord's scheme. Set the blaze, make them leave. A product of fire, a message in char. On San Pablo Avenue, a gutted testament testifies that due to arson, another neighborhood dies. A product of fire, a message in char, a property lot, a blackened scar. That was Skeletal Black 2. And the next one is another long poem, but I'm going to do an excerpt of it. And it's about a situation that took place in San Francisco 2 years ago this month, and one that our own Senor Tommy Avacole Mecca played a role in. It's about an individual who used to live in what is now called the Hayes Valley neighborhood. This is called Coldstone. Considering what your profession happens to be, aiding and abetting a landlord with dreams of emptying out a rental unit for condo conversion is what's expected of you. And somehow, in this instance, watching deputies from your department change all the locks on a door that ain't yours, induced no emotion, no reaction, nothing close to a conscience in you. And somehow you counted on the tenant, a woman bearing cream coffee complexion, infirm, 100 years old, queen mother to her fam, being absent from a life estate, her Hayes Valley apartment of over 60 years with everything she needs besides relatives' undying love locked inside. Her wheelchair, medications, medical records, heirlooms, photos, 1-century-old memories, no access. Knowing these few facts set off no emotion, no reaction, nothing close to a conscience in you. And somehow, the immediate sights and sounds of concerned citizens beset around your office door, shaming you, condemning your executive decision vote. No emotion, no reaction, nothing close to a conscience in you. That was an excerpt from Cold Stone. And that poem is dedicated to the person responsible for the eviction of 100-year-old Irish Canada, Sheriff Vicky Hennessy of San Francisco Sheriff's Department. Can I get a boo? A boo! Shame on that person who kicked out this woman who spent 60 years in the only home she's ever known. And now to change the mood tonight a little bit. This is one of my favorite poems in the book, and this was done out of a sense of fun. It's an ode to one of my favorite foods. This is called Cold White Cube. Cold white cube, relieved of its colorful outer cellophane skin, dripping wet. Cold white cube, cold as frozen mango sorbet, clammy as moist human hands, extra firm in texture. Cold white cube, product of compressed organic soybeans, tastes hella better than it sounds when prepared just right. Laid upon a bamboo wooden block under a descending kitchen knife, careful reduction with each stroke to smaller cold white cubes. Cold white cubes, tossed into a bowl with Asian 5-spice behind it all, as the black cast iron skillet sizzles on the electric stove top in toasted sesame oil, impatiently burning for brown dusted cubes in a stirring steel spatula, composing the beginnings of some new lyrical verse, playing around with blended phrases, flavors and aromas, boasting Japanese origin, especially after the sweet tangy brown sauce is added. Additional stanzas are provided: minced garlic, julienne carrots, chopped shiitake mushrooms, and red bell pepper, grated ginger, sweet tangy brown sauce, 1 more teaspoon. Mix together in the skillet, stir and fry, spreading the hot new content over a steaming plate of brown rice finishes out this homemade poem. Extra firm, high protein, cold white cube feeds me, sustains me. I need it like I need my plate of teriyaki. No animals were harmed in the making of this meal. That was called Cold White Cube. What started out as just a stupid ode to a block of tofu. As I went to the middle of the poem, you saw where I was going with it.
That great little.
It reflects my love of vegan cooking, dude. And that's to all the vegans and vegetarians in the room. And I got 3 poems left. So this one was in the January 2009 poetry issue of Street Sheet. It's also here in skeletal black. Based on actual events, this is called Mr. Hard Time. One afternoon, around my high school days, Grandma Lily took time away from sewing clothes and talk show on daytime TV to tell my little brother and me an important tale about a guest who often came uninvited. Hard to predict his moves. Being a teenage girl and young mother in the Great Depression of the 1930s, she already knew the guest personally, as did her sister Vivian, her daddy Lonnie, and Lucy, her mama. In those days, there wasn't one person standing in a bread line or begging the next brother for a thin dime who hadn't met Mr. Hard Time. If you have no bread in the bread box, no fresh or frozen food in the refrigerator, no boxed or canned food in the cupboard, no coins filling up the mason jar, no dollars filling up your wallet, no way to pay the rent or clean your clothes. Best believe that's when Mr. Hard Time comes for a house call, counting on your despair, answering him as he knocks on your door.
Oh.
Let Mr. Hard Time in, and those hard times last longer. That was called Mr. Hard Time, based on a story that my grandmother told me and my little brother Michael when we were still in high school. And Mr. Hard Time was her implied metaphor or code word for poverty. And having survived the Great Depression and the rigors of Sears credit card ownership, which put anybody in debt back in those days, as some of y'all know. Those were definitely times when Mr. Hard Time came around. And she didn't want poverty for us at all. She didn't want us to get that visit from that unwanted guest. The next one is going to change the spirit of the evening. And this is one of my personal favorite pieces. This is called Symbolic. Colin Kaepernick, number 7. He did what he thought was the right thing before that 49ers game popped off. Eric Reed, number 35. Jeremy Lane, Seahawks cornerback. Megan Rapinoe on a Chicago soccer field followed suit, kneeling. I can't say I blame them. I would have stayed put on that bench too and refused to stand and salute fitted stars, white in a blue square, all 13 stripes, white and red. Current states, original colonies aren't the only things they represent. Long ago, I realized, as Colin already has, that the cloth honorable to millions is symbolic of a nation whose civilian protectors insist on hunting down my race for vicious sport, rewarded with paid leave instead of discipline, continues to deny us all, drinking the cleanest water, attending the best schools, attaining the best work, choosing the best homes, living in the best neighborhoods, forces us to sleep on the streets, begging for coins and for dignity. Pride withdrawn, respect withheld, for a racist flag worthy of neither, for a nation which never represented slaves or tribes or the descendants or me. Worship denied, allegiance defied. Genocide, discrimination, have no honor and deserve none.
Oh.
That was called Symbolic, and I wrote that one in the wake of all the NFL national anthem protests that were going on starting from the fall of 2016 onward. Something that one of the Bay Area's own, Old Cap, started. And I'm glad he did that.
Yes.
Because I would never salute a flag that didn't represent me.
Yep.
And the last piece is a little bittersweet. It's an elegy to a friend of mine who just recently died back last summer. And she was an important part of the Poe magazine, Poe Press family. This is called Ecstasy. System activism. Her poetry gave medicine to the broken in heart and mind, revolutionaries found within their ranks sometimes. Her plays gave us reason to laugh at the misery associated with poverty in our lives brought to heal in one act or two. A different play for each people's school kept things interesting for the privileged and underprivileged students. Always where the excitement is. Teach-ins, movement strategy meetings, radio shows, street protest. Film and arts festivals. Confrontations with politicians, yet calm, humble, eloquent through it all. Berkeley-born dreadlock daughter of Caroline, on-the-ground reporter, digital resistor, Afro-punk not on the forefront. melted into the scene with Poe magazine, welfare queen, gentle heroine, ecstasy, disseminated that revolutionary love for other single mothers, revolutionary love for sex workers surviving off their physical art, revolutionary love for the punk rock scene, her secondary Bay Area family, revolutionary love for the indigenous whose land this settler lie stands upon, revolutionary love, patience and actuality for the author of these words. A man whom few respect and none understand. Revolutionary love for the Poe and all Gazas, levels of hardship. Revolutionary love for her biological son, for her Mexican lover and his own son. For little Cholo and Chihuahua dogs, the softest spots in her heart were for them. Revolutionary love for most she encountered. Order was brought to disorder when her calm and positivity entered a room together.
Oh.
And that last poem was called Ecstasy, a little elegy in memory of my friend Lori McElroy, 1972 to 2018. Rest in peace.
Oh.
And I dedicate tonight's set to somebody who I wish that were here tonight, but they have mobility issues. They have Lyme's disease. The only thing they could do is sit at home watching this right now. So I dedicate this to local San Francisco rap artist who has performed here at Sacred Grounds many times in the past. I'm talking about my friend from the Mission District, Revolt. This whole set is for him. From this mic to your ears, I'm D. Allen.
Oh! Give it up for D. 5 minutes? All right, well, I know. All right, everybody, we're running really late because we will be kicked out of here at 10 o'clock. We always have to keep that in mind when we're up there. So, we're going to take 5 minutes and come back and enjoy the show. We're going to start off with me, and we've got Jacob and Hal Robbins again, and Rob. We got a whole shitload of good people. So, if you want to run away, now's your time.
Do you want some backing?
Yeah, well, I need backing all the time. Just watch out what kind of
I'll
pack.
front you and back you both.
Watch out for the pack. I'm going to try to go to the restroom really quick.
One more thing, folks. In case any of y'all like any of what you heard or some of what you heard, I happen to have copies of my new book, Skeletal Black, for sale for $10.
See him about the books, ladies and gentlemen. You got a little break here. That's a great time.
Yelling.
10.
10.
10, sir. Please.
So how'd your gig go? How did your gig go?
It was great. We got very well received. I got paid $50.
Wow.
And we got $42 in tips from seniors. A lot.
And is this where you live?
Yeah.
Strawberry.
I've been doing it for
I
free
was at
for
Strawberry Lane.
Strawberry Creek Club. And I've been doing it there. Talent show every month. I've been doing it here for 7 years, and they finally decided to pay me.
Nice. Well, high time, you know.
Yeah, so this was.
And then the seniors.
This was last.
Did seniors tip you as well, or that was something else?
No, the tips I gave to the two guys who accompanied me.
Yeah.
Be discriminatory.
to the activity.
Yeah, Mark is my sound guy for my shows, and Mike has been listening for many years. He plays guitar, and he gets better.
I was off in Monterey for the Carmel. I'm taking Berkeley, but Carmel, Florida. Things I do are This was, you were
Rehearsal.
This is such a big event. I just wanted to do it, then I looked at all the open mics and I saw
You found the list and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, then I saw you guys were like the oldest one around, I was like, yes, do this. Okay. And then I put a link up on my site.
And then I got to know
That's a little big
So when you that's not okay.
I know, man. I know. You know why? Because when I one day got this picture, there you go. See, you got food. I'm not gonna open it.
You're the first person who's ever said, I already
I'm so happy to be here, Sharon. Thanks for inviting me.
That's exactly right. I'm so glad you came. That's great.
I'm just enjoying it so much. I like you.
You drew all these?
I like you. I like your social.
Oh, did you?
I did.
I'm so sick and tired. I have too many poems that are like that.
When you read, you want to know when you read? You're reading. Great.
We can't figure out what to do. We don't know how to do it. And you know when to start. I'm working on a science fiction novel. I'm writing this down.
Really cool that there's like a event that painted like a great
Jacob and I decided to see you're good. You know what?
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be back in just a moment. I am on the microphone making noise so that you can understand that there's noise happening on the microphone, and then you'll realize that since there's noise happening on the microphone, that something's going to be happening pretty soon on the microphone, but it won't be me. It'll be somebody else coming up here. Let me move to the side here. Do you want to come through? Do you want to go around? Is that what you're doing?
Well, I'm just trying to get to that.
Oh, I'm
Device so that I'm ready and on. I can have David Erdreich join me.
Yeah, David Erdreich.
This is all the color I need in my life right here. That's it.
All of them?
I know.
No other colors?
No, I got the purple. You got everything else. Really? And this?
This?
All that.
It's called nausea.
I was playing that backwards. I should have flipped it this way. It would have sounded so much better. But now that you're listening, the second half is beginning. Mr. Richard Sanderell's kicking us off. And let us go to show.
All right, little publicity. Tomorrow night at Burton Beckett, I have been honored and asked by Avacha to join them tomorrow night in reading a poem about the Ohlone, which I have written, and I'll be doing a piece from an ancestor, who in this case will be John Trudell. And then on the 4th, some of you people know Bill Mercer, and I will be featuring at, again, Burton Beckett. It's on a Monday at 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
All right. The first one's going to be a frivolous one. I don't do frivolous too much, but this is, I'm sorry, I just had to say this about something that happened. Called, I should have Vincent read this, or have, there's a piece in it. Next time, I'm going to have you read the part.
Okay.
Another voice of authority. Build on Ohlone lands, my adoptive town's main library, a poetry event is about to be held. Arrive early after Poets Cafe closes. No place to sit. At previous events, cafe closes, people sat in booths. This is an open room. This day is different. Separating everyone from booths, the movable, immovable nylon strip. I broke the rules of an ordered, structured library. Move the immovable. Hello, you're not allowed to sit there. The voice of authority echoes against marble steel. Where am I to sit? The voice says you have 5 choices. I see only 2, the stairs and some flimsy benches inside the gallery. Needless to say, curses from a poet railing against the voice of authority. Maybe because I'm old, I might do what old people do. Riot when provoked. Wow. It's petty, I know. Wasn't bombed by a government drone, murdered on Muni. But the irony of it all, well, a poet not allowed to sit in an open room of a Poets Cafe waiting for a poetry event. Praise the muse, past the poet. Frivolity. This poem really isn't finished, but I want to read it anyway because it's going to change. But I don't know. It's called Man on Fire in the Rain. Man on fire in rain, burns green, blue, hot. Man on fire, not seen, who's seen too much. Burning Buddha Christ, where no one asked why Buddha Christ stands in the rain on fire. Seldom seen, so no one will get involved. Burning Man involved threatens those who are not. Fear they will be dragged down by this burning Buddha Christ. After all, he's standing in the rain, and he's standing on fire in the rain.
Yeah.
And apps. This is called apps. We all know about those.
Apps.
Like businesses always say, this is about jobs, not about demonizing anyone. So business says. Wouldn't it be great if Homo sapiens found their minds humanity? We have apps for things you never thought you needed. Apps to wipe and clean your asses. Who knew? So many choices, one could think that we have freedom of choice, when most don't or want. I believe we have all our nether regions uncovered. Freeporno.net. Delivery in a few strokes or voice command for sex to food. Tanny merchandise. Anything you could possibly want, we deliver that too. Soon there will be every app that you could think to related to the body. Someone can come over and exfoliate your feet, tickle you when you need a good laugh, have a little BDSM if you've been a bad boy or girl, perhaps served with a little platter of gills. But wait, there's an app for that called the Forgiveness app. Forgiveness of all kinds. Catholics are up in arms. Catholics are up and well. Let's just say they have dibs on this forgiveness business. Look out! Here comes the Christian Scientologists with their apps. Look out! Look out! Look out! Here comes the new war. The war on controlling body apps. Whoever controls the world. Ha 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 ha. Turn down sound. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Herbert. And we will be at the very end again, you lucky people. And who's next? Who's the next one? Who's the next one?
AJ White.
Oh, all right.
It's been, I think last time I was here was a couple weeks ago, and the cops were outside putting on a little show of their own for me. I kind of like the lighting, I like stepping in the light of the last guys that were up here, so I'm going to try and feed off of that a little bit. That's a nice little act. It interested me because the cops took off exactly when I stopped, so I ran into them only one time since then, but and one of the poems we're going to read tonight is based off of that day, but I'm going to kind of tail off of what I did last time. I was regarding some poem I read from San Diego. I'm going to start off like this real quick, though, and just going to shout out to someone who is, at this point in time, is meant all positive, right? Sean Dunstan, cat paw. I don't know if he's watching that, but if he is, cat paw, Sean. All right, Thunder Pup. Anyways, with that being said, this is a tell off that San Diego poem. This one I wrote about that 2015 time period. The other one I'm just gonna leave it for what it is. I think I was also talking about, I was a little worked up last time. I was talking about like some sort of story. I've been working on this heptagon kind of thing going on, and I'm gonna kind of build on that for a later date. So right now I'm just gonna keep it on the star that I was talking about last time, which might have been a porn star situation. And I'm like, oh, I don't know what's a porn star, but anyways, what is? To me, really, today, it's an exercise of the First Amendment, fundamental exercise. I mean, I don't, nothing to do with it, really. Worlds apart, playing league of their own. Hey, as annoying as they are, I love most of you, 100%, so keep that in mind. Anyways, with that being said, I'm gonna work on this poem right here. That was about the 2015 time period in San Diego, and it's based off a mnemonic device, just like the one I read last time was, revolving around the word wait. This one is revolving around the words F-U-C-U, San Diego F-U. And I don't claim new or old school, because I'm kind of in the middle of 77 Fire Snake, Libra, so I'm trying to stay in the middle like that, and just kind of see what's going on, but this has a little old school, new school reference. So anyways, for as a new noise is created, ultimate material brought to the surface through hatred, because there comes a time when generated, until the day is obliterated. Slipper, slapper, glass together. As I say, it's again, making smoke fills the mirrors. No more lies aboard as stiff as a feather. Double Dutch, get off the lookout, start a career. Is that what they say now? I hope we're all right. Engineering the noise now, put pressure on Heather. Sean Dustin. Anyways, get a beautiful dance now, this view out of sight. 1 over the 0, now say so backwards. No more light as a board, stiff as a feather. For as they duel as duel, and light comes from dark, upper class drama as the old and the new school shall hopefully light up the spark. And that's the poem I wrote, which didn't make the finals like the last one I read a couple weeks ago, which actually was a good poem and I enjoyed with a little proof rock. Love, Pat. Thank you. Anyways, I'm going to read this one based off, it's called Chums, whatever the case may be. I'm just going to rattle this one off. So it goes a little bit something like this. I didn't have time to memorize this one. But yeah, it's based on that day, so you know. Disco, flash off, fever. It's in the air. Back to the frequency zone. Sanity's fringe is left right to condone. Frequency is one too many, hey, hey. So fucking play possum and remember Christ's sakes. Jack be nimble, Jack be quick, Jack better jump over that fence and shit. Yeah, yeah, Jolly Green, Hollywood Dream Team, Jack better quit. Jack will be back, front side to side as the chunk chimes. Raise your glass, green slipper, we live in new times. Don't worry about that axe. She might not even hide him this time as a matter of facts. Once again, we're talking about Jack. Yakety yak. Don't talk back. Don't talk back. Come on, sir. If you cut me anything, let it be slack. Yakety yak. Yakety yak. Fee, fee, fee. 5, 4, 4. Beanstalk, Jack.
All right. All right. We've got a. Oh, you guys are in for a treat. You don't know. Of course, every one of you have been a treat, but this one's a treat. Yeah. Antoinette. Yeah.
So I have one old one and a couple of kind of reworked. And it's just funny, the old one I just kind of decided I wanted to just bring something old, but it seems to fit tonight, so I'm kind of really glad about that. So this is the older one. It's called Still in San Francisco, Wandering Dogtown, Searching Streets for Hints of Acceptance in Century-Old Victorians Needing Paint. Gentrification at 28th and West, young man's at his aunt's estate sale. Someone else will live here. Prostitutes and drug deals sprinkle streets, brown sugar on cinnamon toast. Queer families fill factory lofts, hydroponic gardens, fenced yard, prayer flags. Large barking dogs own the place. This moment, freedom from past, no future, impossible to claim when we only see from internal frames. Flow, flux, unfurl, funding, flattering faults, under formative fusions filmed in caves. Coveted cranberries, blue, black, red tendrils climb steep walls where unwanted wild projections born within cannot know how it seems when clues abide in communications confirmed. Tread every faltering step slightly, or tap dance on desk while Dick Van Dyke takes a rest. And lastly, standing in a wispy white night dress, strong calves bend down, lift black Labrador. They sit together to tame the wolf. Zen master stamps free will, nonviolent protest. Monks wearing brown sit on stage, no difference, no separation. Like this blank sheet of paper where front and back encompass one another, unseen parts create more. Wholeness fills night sky, sorrow sits inside joy. Wolf's breath sucks in cold wet, swirling exhale to fluffy white angel.
We have somebody who's been sort of new here and is gaining a reputation, I have to say. So look out. People are going to start talking. Henry Jacob.
Henry Jacob.
Proper introduction, I like it. You got me, you got me. You got me.
Let's raise that up just a bit.
Thank you. The mic's
So you
man.
can go right
Thank
at
you.
it.
Appreciate it.
Like that. Get full volume.
Thank you, David.
Love the Miles Davis shirt.
Okay.
This is a poem called Watercolor Dreams. We slept in each other's solitude. Only our dreams disrupt us. Her portrait reveals our matrimony. My portrait reveals my assassination. She rolls over and asks me if I thought of her as I lay dying. My silence lingers for far too long. How to condense our memories into a single word. Footnote. A North Beach florist hands me rainbow roses. 27 seasons of beginnings and continuations. Love is a question. We are the answer.
All right.
This is a poem called Washington Square, and it's for two Jacks, Hirschman and Kerouac. Parks are open to interpretation. For some, sanctuary. For some, hell. For some, a pit stop. For some, a home. And for some, a poem. Poem is where the heart is. I warm my frozen fingers in a notebook, my eyes red from the constant whispers of trees. A homeless man mistakes me for a sage. You are Aristotle, or simply insane. No one writes at this ungodly hour. Cathedrals are carousels of spirituality. If you listen closely, you can hear the priest laugh. Sip this holy water real slow. It might just be your last. This park is named after a dollar bill, evergreen. I used to want to be a dead president. As a boy, I vowed to ensure literature would become a worldwide religion. Everyone has a story, but we continue to flick the clip of history. Past tense populations. She told me, spit on the dollar if you need a lubricant. I told her, I'm a notebook, and this is the final page. She mistook my composition for decomposition. She looks at me before dismembering the doorway. You are a poet's liver, nothing but rot. I transfer neighborhoods just to get shot. The plot thickens as soon as she unveils the silhouette that lies between her thighs. I am a ghost, she is the host. Will I survive our apartheid, or should I stay inside indefinitely? Sidewalks lead to suicide, milk to liquor, pot to pesticides, and life to death. Nothing really matters, yet I still climb the ladder just to see the view. She shifts her breast to reveal a tattoo. Just breathe. I open my lungs to the words, I open my lungs to the world, but they are clogged. Hands etched in hatred grasp my neck and ask me to recite. Hands etched in hatred grasp my neck Hands etched in hatred grasp my neck and ask me to recite the name I was given. God. She laughs and says, atheism is the new fad. Somebody's dead already, and no soul is lent to prayer. Thank you.
Rob is going to save us some time, I hear. He's being a nice guy.
Thanks to several people who also went short. I really appreciate that. We want to get everybody on.
I would like to dedicate this performance to two friends. Michael Hathaway, who died peacefully in his sleep a few weeks ago. And in the year plus that I've been in California, he was the only true friend, lifelong friend that I made. And some of you knew him. He was a wonderful poet. He came here and read once, some months back. And also to my friend Leroy Hammerding, a librarian who showed up at his library on a Sunday morning to open up about a week ago. And as he was opening the front door, a homeless man jumped out of the bushes and killed him with a machete. This library was very friendly to the homeless. And I want to say that his death was not a crazy man doing a crazy thing. His death was a reflection of a systemic problem. So they both love to laugh. So here is my Valentine's Day contribution. I'm tired of the game of love. Lonely, lost, abused. Negotiation, recrimination. Wasted, worn out, used. So tired of this game of love. Weary of feeling a fool. I just want to be held, not held to ridicule. How do we breathe in all this animosity, reducing our lives to a market commodity. I'm crying from this cataclysm of possessive jealousy. I got it. It's time to fuck a tree. I'm tree sexual, I fuck up Aurelie. I'm tree sexual, I'm LGBTQ tree. I tried a woman named Nora, she's not as mellow as Flora. I did a dude named Mahmood, men are just rude. I tried some trans dynamite, but everybody is so uptight. I'm sighing from this scourge of possessive jealousy. Our romance dance makes no sense to me. I'm tree sexual, I fuck up Aurelie. I'm tree sexual, I'm LGBTQ tree. I bought a blow-up doll, but she followed me with her eyes. I fucked a fleshlight, they don't have my size. Prostitutes only wanna get rid of ya. I canoodled a koala, they got chlamydia. I boinked a bonobo, I couldn't keep the pace. I humped a horse, she laughed right in my face. I wanted a panda, it's too much money, so I diddled my dog. Now she looks at me funny. I'm dying from this damnation of possessive jealousy. Soft leaves and hard wood, set me free. I'm tree sexual, I fuck up Aurelie. I'm tree sexual, I'm LGBTQ tree. Just slide it in that V or a knothole heavenly. Stay away from willows, no weeping drama for me. The western wahoo tree is named appropriately. And what could be safer than fucking a rubber tree? Maples are the best, they have the sweetest lube. Sticky pines ain't divine, I lost every single pube. I might hump your houseplant if I get a little boozy. Don't try the cactus, cactus is a doozy. Cherry, cherry, nary contrary. Poplars are popular with me. A lush and lovely fir makes me pine for the 70s. Redwood, yellowwood, or sweet dark ebony. Oh yeah, that's right. I know you're feeling me. Keep on cocking in the tree world. Keep on cocking in the tree world. Hello. Is it tree you're looking for? Tree you're mine, and the roots will follow. And I'm tree ballin'. Termites are easier to treat than crabs. Herpes is worse than cedar rust or apple scabs. I'm flying free from possessive jealousy. Come to the orchard for a threesome with me. I'm tree sexual, I fuck arboreally. I'm tree sexual, I'm LGBTQ tree. Who's got wood?
He was the keynote.
Yeah.
Keynote always comes back.
Yes,
no
the
jealousy
keynote
here.
always comes back.
Just like the chlamydia.
Yeah. So Brett honored the theme, and I will somewhat with this poem, April Rise by Laurie Lee. If ever I saw blessing in the air, I see it now in this still early day, where lemon green the vaporous morning drips wet sunlight on the powder of my eye. Blown bubble film of blue, the sky wraps round weeds of warm light, whose every root and rod sputters with soapy green, while all the world sweats with a bead of summer in its bud. If ever I heard blessing, it is here, where birds in trees that shoals and shadows are splash with their hidden wings, and drops of sound break on my ears their crests of throbbing air. Pure in the haze, the emerald sun dilates, The lips of sparrows milk the mossy stones, while white as water by the lake, a girl swims her green hand among the gathered swans. Now as the almond trims its smoking wick, dropping small flames to light the candled grass, now as my low blood scales its second chance, if ever world were blessed, now it is.
Nasira R.
Nasira.
Yeah.
Next is Greg, so Greg should know he's next.
Oh, you put it really low. Am I that short? Oh my god.
No,
This is
don't
fun.
worry about it. You just tilted up a little, that's all.
Thank you.
That way you
Thank
can just
thank
talk
you.
right into it.
All right. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Okay, anyway, so I have a little spiel. I'll be quick. I know you're going to be quick. Okay.
Beautiful.
So I say good morning to people. Like, that's just like some routine thing that I do. And I notice that a lot of people don't do that. So when I say good morning to them, they're really surprised. And maybe because, like, I say good morning, like, all day. It's 2 o'clock, and I'm like, good morning. But anyway, so tomorrow, when you wake up, I hope everybody wakes up. When you wake up, if you have no empathy in your heart for people, take your ass back to sleep. Anyway, seriously, for real. If you have no empathy for people, go back to sleep. Okay. I put my ear to the earth and it speaks. It reeks of greed, heartache, and no compassion, no formality to fit the reality of what it could really be. Malice, intent, careless hearts increase the speed of the earth. Her arts and colors are stripped by those unworthy. I put my ear to the earth and hear its cries for humanity, for the poor, for those pushed aside, those who won't likely make it. The ones overlooked and underappreciated, poverty-stricken, the ones faced with war and adversity because of the pigment of their skin. I put my ear to the earth and she envelops so much pain. I ask her, does she feel a strain? And why doesn't she swallow us up to release the pain? I put my ear to the earth and she whispers. She whispers wise words and inevitable strength. She speaks dignity into the soul. Okay, one more. He brings out the best in you when he's sexing you. We made love and oceans collided, levees broke and vulnerability creeped in. Chin up when the sun rises because now we depart and no longer dark skies surrounding. 10 good things about me I couldn't find because I became blind to my own beauty. Reluctant to pull away because sexual ecstasy pulled me in. But oh, how it fooled me. I toiled with your heart when I felt you were unfair. I felt smothered, but during the dark times, I didn't care. Thrust into me. I'm begging you to go deep. It's a love fantasy where my brown skin melts into your chocolate nuts. I become nuts. I feared that this ecstasy would only continue to provoke your jealousy. The relevancy of our relationship would only begin to fade, and in my dark times I spent day after day after day next to you. With everyone telling me you only wanted to put together the pieces to my puzzle and then destroy it and faintly place a muzzle over my lips so I can no longer be such a strong entity. My hips begin to spread. Numb to the world while I'm in his bed, I'm in his head, I'm his rib.
The wonderful voice of Greg Pond shall now.
Thank you, Greg Pond. Another underrated poet as far as I'm concerned. Should be heard more from.
Yes, that's true.
Thank you,
Hi.
Richard. You're most kind.
Well, it's true. Those who've heard you know.
And please another hand for D. Allen.
Yeah.
A young man was killed on February 26, 2012. His name was Trayvon Martin. His name was Trayvon Martin, but it could have been Emmett Till. Another young son whose biggest claim to fame was in the way they both got killed. An ill-fated whistle, iced tea, and a bag of Skittles. What were the crimes that ended their lives so young and for so little? Prejudice and bigotry live in infamy. Colorblind eyes see only black and white. Who plays the victim? Who pulls the trigger? Who gets to claim civil rights? Security man, better stand your ground. Black hood must be up to no good. And whether it's the other way around, nothing was handled the way it should. Obama said if he had a son, he'd look just like Trayvon. Well, I already have a son who I stress over dusk till dawn. Could any president protect my boy if he's targeted, profiled, or gets killed? Or will his be the next name we're fated to remember half a century later? Will young black men's deaths still be run of the mill? His name was Trayvon Martin, but it once was Emmett Till.
Oh. Commonly called the dunk. The dunk is coming to the mic. Yes. He is the elder dunk.
Then we got Sharon and Shem and Garrett coming up.
The broken music mirror. Times often I heard on the bus, the ubiquitous 30 bus, the day the rain poured out of my father's umbrella. No time really to step out of the traffic. Rain soaked, the day turned out to be sort of dark, sort of a little miserable. The miserable cold as is. Stand easy, broken weather. Clouds stay up in the sky. Blitz. Klieg, the ego is tired and kind to try a maiden on for size. Sending metaphor on its maiden voyage. The lapels are double-breasted, big as big breasts. Guys and dolls last all night. The metaphor, disguised as a poem, a mere poem talks to the night air, the music in the fine air, the gentle guitar, the sound lost in the blue insect night. "14 lines on a theme by Jack Spicer. A day like all days, the shoddy sun, the concealed moon, maybe it will shine tonight. The poem here appears behind a bush. The poem has all the joy of a wild rabbit. Wabbit. Elmer Fudd suppressed the metaphor. Every metaphor before it appears on the page, before it climbs between your legs. Someday a metaphor will be beneath the sea, hiding from you where you cannot find it, no matter how hard you look. I am like an Aussie, a mad Aussie, chasing after what he thinks he wants, chasing and cooking and eating every metaphor he finds on the planet. No, the planet is not the spice box of Earth. It is Elmer Fudd's garden. Jack's eyes. At the North Beach Library, there is a large picture of Jack Kerouac typing on a teletype roll. His eyes not tired but expressionless. Of course, a Pisces is different and go out and type again anytime, any place, anywhere. Yes, type all along the road. His eyes are like this poem. They have everything and nothing to say. The eyes of Tuesday weld the wailing welder. Wonderful the first hot day San Francisco has had in months. Alas, my imagination has fled. There are people on the bus, but not of the bus. The doors open, the doors close. The clipper keeps and beeps. Maybe the bus was a flying cloud full of Swedish sailors and mermaids wrapped around the mast this day. My imagination becalmed in the doldrums of inner space.
Oh.
June havoc. A sunny day is like a costume concerto. My heart has a black valise. My cup was not so full of papers. Sand dune days, I think of people that did love, live, and get, and are now in, not out, and will be here in a not so fragile fortnight to think enough of us to dine in our garden.
Thank you, Lord.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Oh, it's Kansas City time.
Kansas City. We got some crazy new women. I might take a thing. I could go on, but then she did.
But if I have to walk, I'm going just the same.
That's right. Good for her.
It's called Let's Make Waffles. Pajamas, dolls, paper dolls, magazines, doll clothes. This makes a great pajama party. First, you need permission. After given the okay, plans what to take. This requires at least 4 phone calls back and forth. Now, once the plan is in the place. What place are we going to? Whose house do we go to? Gear all over the place. Each time it's open, it's like opening a dream. What can we have for dinner? Usually, the mothers ask you what you want. Hot dogs, chili and spaghetti, tamale pie, hamburgers, sloppy joes, grilled cheese. Other times, it's whatever the family is having. After dinner time to play. Bring on the toys, back to the bedroom. Dressed and undressed dolls, imaginary stories. If it's still daylight outside, let's go play. Don't stray too far. Time for some last-minute jump rope. Or window peeking, maybe a trip to the drugstore, bubble gum. Maybe a movie magazine. Read the magazine under the covers when the adults are in bed. Lucky, sometimes you have a portable record player. And then it's time for the 27th Street Gang to take off. Sneak out of the house. Go to the neighbors. Snoop. Ask about any house. They know everybody in it. They know everything that's going on those blocks. What girl didn't love the teenagers' business? Let's get in their business. Let's peek in their cars. Let's watch them. Let's be those little eyes that they see over their shoulder. And that's what they did. Gossip. Listen to the gossip from the adults. See what's going on. Very interesting. She's going to have a what? Oh, okay. Well, you always pretend to be unaware of the conversation. Little pictures have big ears. Some are starting to go into their cousins' diaries and their sisters' diaries. They love to read the teenage diaries. Oh my goodness. Now they know everything. Now they know how to blackmail them. Your boyfriend's coming over? I know what you did. I read it. Next day, after they've played dress up, they find their shoes and dresses and purses, and they go out to the house with makeup too. And fake names, usually of their favorite movie star. Mine was Joanne Drew. She was married to John Ireland. In these outfits, we visited the local merchants and had the nerve to try to pretend like we were charging clothes. The merchants would write up fake slips for us, and we would sign. Doll buggies, mother's high heels on. Sometimes we would have fake change and fake charge accounts for all of our purchases, which each item we never took, but the merchants would charge it to us, and the merchants thought it was the darndest thing they'd always seen. Fake charge slips for us. Sometimes we would come back with fake money, either from the dime store or money that we made ourselves. Cut it out with our blunt scissors, lots of Avon sample small lipsticks, and that's pretty on Toothless Wonders. Now, what was the bed attire? Maybe pajamas, usually a Lance Knight flannel gown in the winter, cotton in the spring.
That's it.
With a little robe to match. Some house slippers. Most mothers would braid our hair before we went, but sometimes the guest mother would let us braid her hair. Now that was the darndest thing you've ever seen. Sometimes we would brush their hair. We loved that since we would always give them hairstyles. Now that could be really interesting. In fact, the women loved it and the men thought it was just silly. Now, household pet, in bed, lights out, lights on, read hidden magazines, or true story modern romances. Some of the love scenes, ew. This was the sort of thing Birds and Bees prime. Most of us had an idea of what sex was, and we didn't care about it. Snooping, we would find the condoms in our father's drawers or the girl's father's drawers. Francine let us see her mother's diaphragm, which, by the way, we all handled and tossed to each other. Maybe that's why she has a little brother. Maybe a nail got caught. Don't know. Breakfast always a treat. The mothers did their best to fix us something we liked, and not that it wasn't hard. Brenda's mother, one Saturday, decided to go to the farmer's market early. Girls, fix some cereal, I'll be back soon, and I'll make you a big lunch. Okay, well, let's see. Pancakes, fried potatoes, sausages. Carla says, how about waffles? Great, let's find the cookbook. Okay, flour, eggs, milk. Oops, Francine dropped some on the floor. No problem. Sparky the cat gets it. Butter, syrup, baking powder. Where's the waffle iron? It's up top. Stand on the telephone book. Got it. Now what? Make batter. Oops, drop some eggshells in it. It'll break up when we stir it. Get the skillet down. More bacon. Who knows how to make coffee? I do, shouts Vernell. It's just coffee. I know how to make it. It's just coffee and coffee grounds. Time for the batter to put on. Bacon on, turn the gas up. Ooh, it's a little hot, a little smoky in here. Put the batter in the waffle iron, turn it on. Doesn't seem to be cooking as fast as the bacon, which is cooking pretty fast. In fact, it's cooking really fast. And the waffles are taking forever, and they're not turning brown. Bacon burning, waffles still pale. Okay, let's make pancakes. Skillet has a little bacon, so let's go get the griddle. Boy, this is heavy. Light the burner, whoosh, turn down the burner. Need oil. Oh, here's olive oil. Let's start the pancakes. Why is the batter lumpy? Oh, well, it'll cook. Orange juice. Let's try it. Okay, let's sweeten it. Let's put some more sugar in it. Okay, the seeds, we don't care about them. We'll spit them out. Waffles are pale. Let's make another batch. Bacon is done. Pancakes are ready. Some are doughy. Second batch of waffles is okay. Eggshells crunchy. Some bacon burnt. But the best we did was the coffee. Still had grounds in it. Oh well, put some canned milk in it. Time to clean up. Got up the mop from the basement. Whoops, got water on the cat Sparky. He's hissing. Wash dishes, wipe off stove, forget waffle iron. Oh well, throw out the blonde waffles. Throw bacon to the dog. Dog doesn't want the bacon. Okay. Get up, get cleaned up, dress, skate keys off, skate keys on, playground, round the block. Mrs. Lester returns home. The floor is sticky. Waffle iron still has batter in it. Uh-oh. Cat has syrup on its whiskers. Plates in the cabinets are sticky. What a mess. Go outside and feed Fred the dog. Throw him some bacon. He doesn't want the bacon. Okay. Girls, she comes to the porch. Come here. How was the cereal? Okay. Do you want some waffles? No, ma'am. Oh, come on, girls. You always like waffles. No, ma'am. We're just fine.
All right, Jim. Mr. Shem.
Oh,
He is the greatest. He is the greatest mic man.
Thank you, sir. So, this doesn't have a title yet, but it bubbled up fresh yesterday morning and eased into my Google Docs. And I got to read it last night at work party. Some of you were there, but it did change a little bit from yesterday to today. It doesn't have a title yet, so for the sake of compliance, I'm titling it Bubbles for today.
Hey.
All right, here it goes. Failure is a flirtation with forever. A glorious train wreck of possibility and repetition. A possible glory train repeatedly racked. I possibly trained upon a wretched repeater. Train, glory, possible, wreck, repeat. Fragility, apparently, more often than not, is merely the smeared mascara of manipulation compulsively applying itself. If you can successfully lie to yourself, you may be able to utter the words, "I'm not a liar," without the accompanying dizzy ring in the ears that conscious disingenuity often triggers. The foreground is a choice we make in every instant, whether we are aware of our awarenesses or not. The gap between good and bad is a hoary and fibrous filament. Can the real space between yes and no still be captured when the camera eye has been digitized? It's not so much what we don't say, but how we don't say it that gives us texture and nuance. The written word cannot fulfill the promise of a dancing stutter step of meaning making. There must be a voice that stops and starts in a particular way, manifest in the speaker-listener encounter or in the mind's ear of the reader's imagination. The end of something is always the beginning of something else. Breath is and isn't over and over again. Birth, death, and the in-between, like the shuddering snore of sleep apnea.
Thank you. Thank you for cutting it short. Thank you for cutting it short.
Well, you know, we don't have time.
Garrett? Yeah.
And then after Garrett, we got David, the cursive writer, I think.
Yeah, you think all right, Garrett
And the
Murphy.
prizes for this evening, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for everything.
This man is made of iron.
Iron Maiden.
Rip it up.
Oh my God, oh my God. Well, he's missed me a couple of times. But can't say anything to that.
And Mario Woods has his day. The San Francisco Police Officers Association, in a recent public performance concerning the execution of one Mario Woods, displayed solidarity and the usual petulance even after being given a chance to go first when the supporters of Woods were listening. As soon as the POA was done whimpering about how so few of the populace would give them accolades for killing yet another man of color, not to mention a proposed Board of Supervisors bill honoring a day for Mario Woods, SF's supposed finest walks off in a huff, but not before threatening the soups with all kinds of damnation. That warning did accomplish one thing, a most pleasant surprise. It united the soups into acting as one, namely to make that day for our Mr. Woods the no-pun law of the land. In a futile attempt to save their performance, the POA wails enough waterworks to empty hedgy about what about the officers who died in the line of duty. Someone neglected to tell the POA leadership that many officers do have various days, overpasses, intersections, and others named for them for dying in the line of duty. Now it's long overdue for someone to be honored who happened to die in the line of missed duty. And this just in, infantries and babies, including the crybabies, are considering joining forces to sue the SFPOA for the defaming impersonation of their characters. racists place Black History Month in February. You probably heard of this modern day myth. They went and put Black History Month in February, the shortest month of the year.
And the coldest.
Yes, you heard it right. A myth, that's all it is. There's a lot of things can be placed on the racists and with all kinds of credibility to boot, but this isn't one of them. For you see, the person responsible for the month of Black History Celebrate was a black man, Dr. Carter G. Woodson. Woodson was a historian who, seeking a means to ensure that the history of black folk would not be lost, established a week of celebration called Negro History Week. But why, you ask, or more likely why this Woodson guy was so concerned about black pride and sense of history? Did he pick little February, the shortest month of the year?
And the coldest.
February was a month in which famous heroes, Frederick Douglass and Abraham Lincoln, whose importance to black history were both without question, were born. And of course, Negro History Week became Black History Week, became Black History Month. And given the immense impact of Dr. Woodson's creation, what on earth would make anyone believe that some silly racist could invent and plan a Black History Month? A racist didn't put Black History Month in February. A racist couldn't put Black History Month in February, or do much of anything bordering on worthwhile. So don't give any racist so much of a credit. Black history is just too big in importance and magnitude for some races to carry so much a fraction, much less place. And besides, haven't you heard of the adage about big things coming in small packages? I'll close with this one that I tried to do in the style of my own poetic patron, St. Langston Hughes. It's called Truth Plus Self Equals. Listen to your inner self, good people. Be true to that self, good people. If more you did that, crime just might drop its jaw.
Oh. Oh, the Erd Man, everyone.
Great stuff as usual.
Avoid college fraternities. They do more harm than good. Duress excess, they flunk the tests. Drunk peckers made of wood.
No truer words were ever spoken.
President's Day yesterday. For Ellen Hoffman, who went under the knife today, for you, Ellen, and for Kevin's girlfriend who's thinking about doing it, I say my prayers for the living. I say very few prayers. I say them for the living. Nightmares compromise my sleep. Situations curdle deep. Caught in someone else's web. Find I'm just a common reb. Wake and glad to find not true. Hiding out as some poor Jew. Governmental toadies twist. Anger, threats to use their fists. But stupidly, they keep on file every bribe they've made with style. With each other they conspire, ignore their own approaching political pyres. It's greed that brings them down each peg. They find they're not prepared to beg for mercy when the truth be told. To hatred tightly they still hold. There's a sucker born each day, lobbyists for lies get paid enormous sums. Who cares if death gets in the way of taking breath? Separate families, lock them up, bomb civilians as bargaining chips, fear and murder, Cain and Abel, Fox News, the new Tower of Babel, Mitch McConnell sold his soul, now does just what he is told. Same problems rose in ancient Greece, demagogues arose, democracy ceased. Women couldn't vote, men were slaves, made those democracies a tad depraved. Every man a soldier and short-term politics, never a permanent position. Waiting in the wings. Putin is bad gas. U.S. intelligence community just as compromised, just as crass. Avoiding the draft with a premium of cash, or pretending your souls had some invisible rash. Times Square rubes, traveling in some double-decker, when suppressing, spreading lies just by a guy named Pecker. Transparency in U.S. policy, ha! That'll be the day that in court they stop redacting every other word they say. You know the thing about jazz, it always leaves room for improvisation, interpretation, skiddly babadoo boopity. We get together to set it free, jigsaw puzzle, a perfect fit, anchored by the bass, boom, 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 and the drum kit, muted trumpet, alto sax, your choice to scream or just relax. Blues ballad, toss your greens in a salad, perfect dressing receives a blessing. There's a story in every sharp or flat. Arrange and orchestrate in Ellington's top hat, lonesome flower, buzzing of the bee, a distant memory where you unlock the key. You know the thing about jazz, it always leaves room for improvisation, interpretation. It takes a village to raise a child. Bird gets its feathers, it's bound to be wild. You've got the blues, they've got to cease. Just start playing, let your heartbeat increase. Get up and dance, unleash your feet. Neighborhood, community, no need to be discreet. You know the thing about jazz, it always leaves room for improvisation, alteration, correlation, application, condensation, complication, combination, appreciation. Athena sprang from the forehead of Zeus. Check out the old man, cause he ain't no recluse. Your mama shimmy, she's shaking the beat. Her body moves so fast you just can't compete. Might be collection of nerds, misfits, and geeks, but that all changes when they sing what they speak. Might be an ace, leader of the pack. Collect the music and there's no looking back. Distant horizon, your fingertip. You've got your eyes on an intimate relationship. You know the thing about jazz.
All right, I'm going to do one piece. It's not going to be by me, because some of you might come down tomorrow, but I want to keep John Trudell's poetry alive. He was a truth teller. Cry your tears. Now you want us to cry. Now you want us to cry your tears for you. After we've already bled for you, already been dead to you. Now you want us to dry your tears. Now you want us to dry and cry your tears for you. Chapters for your democracy story. Descendants of genocide lost more and more years ago. We went from being the majority to the smallest minority. Now you want us to cry your tears for you. We saw empty early morning skyline, back through that horizon, Duck Valley, 1979, Wounded Knee, Sand Creek, that trail of tears, exactly how did our lands become your country? Now you want us to cry your tears for you while we are crying for our own. With your past as your future head ruling class, using religion as a weapon, distilling love into hate, pointing fingers and name-calling, lethal sacrificing lives, blood, making the new version of offering to the gods of profit. Now you want us to cry our tears for you. When the homeland is secure, pretending corporation isn't economic terrorism. Money talks, all government listens, compiling files on ones who think different, conditioning the expectant of death and not to expect the truth. So get used to hearing the lie. Now you want us to cry the tears for you, misusing the beauty, turning freedom into killing machine, mass murdering of environment, recognizing the psychology of fear, and pushing material addiction into substitution. If rules make the laws, the Bill of Rights become collateral damage, making the Constitution another broken treaty. Now you want us to cry your tears for you. The way the story is unfolding, we may end up crying together as a crying at the same time, but we're short of tears to cry for you with all these tears, to cry for our own. Now you want us to cry your tears for you. Cry your tears for you. Now you want us to cry your tears for you.
Woo!
Yes. Man, that's
it's 2 to 10.
No, it's not. According to that it's 10.
I know, but it's 10 people that go on this.
Well, you didn't tell me you were going by the. Well, you gotta tell me that. Man. I thought we were going by the real time. Dudamon. 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 I saw him. Dudamon. Give us your juju.
You might be in the bathroom.
Oh, well, damn it. Can't have that.
We can start doing the prizes.
Do the prizes. Well,
All right. We're going to take, Dudamon is still to come up. We're going to start doing the prizes. I'm going to reintroduce them to you. So, Crazy People Music. First draft.
This is a memoir written by my grandfather.
He's coming.
He died 2 years ago at age 97.
oh, Dudamon is here. Dudamon. Dudamon.
There's a lot of incredible life experience
He knows about
in this
that
short book.
All right.
Dudamon.
And then we'll do the prizes. What are we going to do?
Get ready.
Come! Let us go to the graveyard of time. I told you, man, every time, don't bring me out here. I'm scared. Go! Dig him up! Dig him up! Look, they don't meet on any bone. Let's go back. The year is 1854. The caning in the city. Darn those northern carpetbaggers! Tell us to give up our property. Jefferson Davis yelled, "Cane him! Cane him!" And Sumner said, he licked the senator from New York. That carpetbagger tells us to give up our property. How dare him! We were annexed from the Union. And you know what? They looked out and she rode a bicycle. And you know what? Because of you, her mommy and daddy bought her a bicycle. And it did not have any wheels. But we go back to the... Lick him! Lick that sucker! Darn those northern carpetbaggers tell us Southerners we would accede for the Union. Establish our own state. And you know what? What happened to Jefferson Davis? If it wasn't for Friday, good old Friday, took care of Jefferson Davis. And they said, we'll tan his hide to the board. But it wasn't that way. See, and the little girl yelled, you know what? Are we gonna be crackers? No, we're gonna be Quakers. The good old Canaan in the Senate. Lick him! Lick him! Canaan in the Senate.
Get him on! Get him on!
All right, so when you signed in a name next to a number. These cards have numbers. This person's going to be shuffling them like mad. And then we're going to take care of these door prizes, which I'm going to reintroduce. First draft by Murray Korngolden. Shem was telling you a little bit about this. This has a lot in it. It's a great book. We have Cotton Gin Port, a frontier settlement on the upper Tom. How do you say that?
Tom Bigby.
Tom Bigby. Had he not been there, I would have been fumbling. Star Trek 10, Haiku by me. Crazy people music.
Branford Marsalis.
Oh, yes.
Oh, Branford, all right. Not Marcel.
Four Finger Shortbreads. A ghost book that is really, despite its location, it's absolutely good. I love it.
Great, that'd be great for a funeral.
Great for funeral. Feature of the evening has a book here, Storm Water, D. Allen.
Yes, D. Allen.
Then we have Mark Twain, Letters from the Earth. This is my favorite Mark Twain book. If I didn't have 5 copies of this, I
Oh,
wouldn't.
yes, that is a great book.
That's a good one. And then Star Trek 7, the one that you really want to read. Anyway, and then of course we have Being the Last Word, the keynote, choosing the theme for next week, mini feature, and the Royal Copa. Give these two people a round of applause. They were our two.